I'd like to call this meeting to order. If we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is the moment of silence. Today's moment of silence is dedicated to all those who passed before us, especially Solstice Pelicano, Barbara Bowes, and Jacqueline Huff. Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Mason?
Present.
Trustee McNaughton?
Present.
Trustee Reinders? Present. Trustee Consolino? Present. Trustee Fialco?
Present.
Trustee Stylen? Present. Mayor Knightsky-Troicke?
Present. Next is community recognition. Today we have Deborah DeMar and Jackie Terpstra. Did I say that right? Are they here? Oh, there you are. They are here on behalf of Victorian Village. Victorian Village was awarded its first in Illinois memory care certification for assisted living communities from the Joint Commission in collaboration with Alzheimer's Association. Victorian Village's Assisted Living Center, the Victorian Inn, became the first AL community in the state of Illinois to earn the Joint Commission's Gold Seal of Approval for memory care certification by demonstrating continuous compliance with its performance standards. Using standards developed in collaboration with Alzheimer's Association, this certification helps demonstrate Victorian Village's commitment to provide high quality and safe care for people in assisted living communities with Alzheimer's disease and other dementias. They were also given accreditation for their assisted living community. Victorian Village underwent a rigorous on-site survey in August 2023. During the visit, a Joint Commission surveyor evaluated compliance with related certification standards, including care coordination, staff knowledge and competency, activity programming based on abilities, behavior management, and safe and supportive physical environment. During the survey, the surveyor conducted on-site observations and interviews. Receiving this award is a public and professional recognition of our commitment to providing high-quality services to those with memory care needs, says Megan Tangerstrom, Vice President of Operations at Providence Life Services. This recognition is a reflection of the dedication provided by our talented staff members as they work to enhance the lives of the people they serve. We are honored to improve overall quality of life for each resident. Victorian Village is a Providence Life Services community. For the past 90 years, Providence has been providing senior living solutions, including independent living, assisted living, memory care, long-term skilled nursing care, short-term post-acute rehabilitation, home health care, and hospice services. Thank you, Victorian Village. Okay, next is, I would like to welcome Elena up to the podium. We have a loving tribute to Jacqueline Huff.
I stand before you today with a heavy heart as we remember our dear friend and leader, Jacqueline. The circumstances surrounding her passing are unimaginably painful. As with a sense of heartbreak, fear, and uncertainty that we come together to celebrate her life and legacy. Jacqueline was a woman of extraordinary experience, confidence, attitude, and intelligence. I met Jacqueline exactly a year ago, and in that short time, she became more than a boss. She became my family. Stepping into the role of the village events coordinator with no prior knowledge, she quickly learned the ropes and left an indelible mark on our community. Jacqueline spearheaded Homer for the Holidays, creating a sense of community within just 2 weeks of joining us. I genuinely admired her from the start, and I felt a deep sense of confidence knowing she was my boss. Jacqueline's kindness, intelligence, independence, and all-around awesomeness made her unforgettable. She had this strength and determination about her that you couldn't help but admire, and she brought positive vibes wherever she went. Her smile, her laugh, her dance moves, her impact on us, and the love for her son, that's something that will stick with us. Alongside Chris, we formed this tight-knit team that is now a second home to me. We were laying down the foundation for great things for the village and the community. From distributing Valentines to veterans to laughing at Weenie Wednesdays here at the village, Jacqueline's impact was felt throughout the entire organization in big and little ways. Jacqueline was too easy to talk to. Her and I were always usually up to no good, and between the three of us in the back, it was definitely the fun zone or the party zone. I'm grateful that she always wanted to get Taco Bell or milkshakes with me, because I had a hard time paying attention sometimes, so she was a good distraction. She taught me invaluable lessons, including the importance of believing in myself and my abilities, the work that I did here. She once told me that I was wise beyond my years and that I needed to do the same with my heart, to let somebody love me for all that I am. She literally saw every side of me and loved me regardless. I keep expecting her to text us, sharing us a meme about iced coffee or a picture of her son or something funny to brighten our day, a testament to the life that she brought into our lives. Now facing the reality of her passing, there's no denying that the pain that we're feeling. It's a harsh reminder of the struggles people face behind closed doors. In this moment of remembrance, let us also reflect the importance of raising awareness about domestic violence. Jacqueline's story reminded us that behind the smiles and laughter, there may be silent battles that go unnoticed. Let us be vigilant, compassionate, and supportive, and foster an environment where individuals feel empowered to seek help from us and break the silence surrounding such struggles. Moreover, let us collectively stand against such opportunistic behavior, ensuring that we honor Jacqueline's memory with sincerity and respect. A shout out to Mikey, Jackie's little legend. This super sweet, smart, funny, and athletic 6-year-old was her entire world, and nothing made her happier than seeing him run into her arms with a big smile, a hug, and a kiss. He will carry her legacy and her smile forever. In expressing gratitude, I want to thank each and every one of you for the love and support that you have extended to Chris and I during this challenging time. We are grateful. Finally, I wanted to express my deepest appreciation to Chris, who stepped up in Jacqueline's pace to finish the events for the year. Under pressure, Chris's incredible dedication and hard work ensured the success of Homer for the Holidays and the Santa Parade this year. Thank you, Chris, for your resilience and commitment to carrying Jacqueline's vision forward. The success of these events stands as a testament to your extraordinary efforts here. So here's to Jacqueline, a force to be reckoned with, a friend, a mentor, a mom, and a sister. May her spirit live on in each of us, and maybe we always remember the impact that she had in our lives. Cheers to you, Jacqueline. We miss you, but you will always be with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena.
tell me what do you do up in heaven? All your days filled with love and light. Is there music? Is there art and invention? Tell me, are you happy? Are you more alive? 'Cause here on earth it feels like everything good is missing since you left. And here on earth everything's different. There's an emptiness. Oh, I hope you're dancing in the sky, and I hope you're singing in the angels' choir, and I hope the angels know what they have. I've been so nice up in heaven since you arrived. I hope you're dancing in the sky, and I hope you're singing in the angels' choir, and I hope the angels know what they have. I've been so nice up in heaven since you arrived, since you arrived.
Thank you, that was beautiful. All right. So moving on to amendments to the agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment. I'd like to request to remove L4, consider for approval ordinance number 23-068, an ordinance providing for the addition of Parker Road from the New Lenox-Homer Township line northerly 1.04 miles to the north edge of pavement of Chicago Bloomington Trail, Hadley Road. This hasn't been thoroughly voted on yet by the Will County Board, so I don't see the sense in why we're voting on it tonight. I'd just like to ask for us to just move it to the next meeting. By then, what's the date that they're meeting? It's
21st.
the 21st, so in next month's meeting. I just don't feel comfortable voting on something that has not been thoroughly voted on yet by the Will County Board.
So you're asking to table it to the December 18th meeting, or no, the January?
Yes, either table or, yeah, remove.
What's that? Oh. Does she need a second to table?
Well, we're not on that, we're just on the
Oh,
last two. We're just doing amendments to the agenda. She asked that it be removed. That's not really amending the agenda, that's removing it from the agenda. So I suggest that when we get to L4, that you make a motion to table with a second, and then we'll vote on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
any other amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Fialko, is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Mason? Madam Clerk, can you please do a roll call?
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders? Aye. Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen? Aye. And Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, move approval for minutes? Is there a motion?
Oh,
Oh, there are no
no
minutes.
minutes.
Sorry. All right, public comment. Thank you, Joe. Ronald McGrath, you're first. Welcome.
I'm coming up with a rare piece, it's also on the list because I can't talk.
Okay. Oh, okay, so that's on the, is that still on there? Okay.
On the agenda.
Yes, we'll call you up when we have questions when that comes up, okay? Thank you. I can't read this. Jacek? Did I say that right? Come on up. I'm not even going to try that last one. Do you have something to say for? Oh, no, I just kind of signed in. Oh, just to say you're here. Well, hello, welcome. And George was just with the other gentleman, Wayne Felgenhauser. Welcome, Wayne. Is the green button on?
It is now.
There we go.
I'm here tonight to make two positive comments. First of all, I want to thank the village on behalf of veterans. I get a little emotional with stuff like this. Recognizing us, on Veterans Day, because, not many places do that. So I wanted to thank, each and every one of you for putting that little box together, and also the organizations that put that stuff in the box. Thank you. The other comment I wanted to make was on behalf of the Will County Sheriff's Department. I was over at Myers yesterday, walking the dog, literally. And it was heartening to see that the deputies were helping out the Lockport VFW on collecting gifts to give out to parents, or to, families that need it. And thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I believe it was called Heroes Helping Heroes. I think that's what it was called. Yep. John Walters.
Hi, I'm here before you to talk in defense of Heritage Park. The open space in Heritage Park is under assault. It's under the assault of concrete and asphalt. I understand we need more parking, and the parking lots are under construction next to the Village Hall here, the inter-road parking, and there's future plans for the lot by Public Works. Those all make sense. Plus the town center that may go across the street here, there'll be more parking for future events there. There'll be plenty of opportunities for more parking without plowing under approximately 5 acres of pristine prairie, open space prairie land to build this unnecessary cul-de-sac road parking. Another reason given for this road is sled hill access. There is direct sled hill access already from the back of the active core. These sidewalks are kept snow-free all winter by staff. In fact, a great idea would be a warming station with push-button IR heating for the parents and the sledders. Safety is another reason cited for this sled hill cul-de-sac road. Given emergency services access to the back of the park, the current walking paths were designed with this in mind. I know, I was on the park committee when we planned this. Park maintenance vehicles already use these paths to move their vehicles throughout the park. Trustee Stylen, where is your Save Open Space crowd while 5 acres of pristine open space prairie land is being plowed under and permanently paved over? You were all up in arms over a cornfield before the last election. This is actual open space. Now your Save Open Space allies are silent. Mrs. Mayor, you marched with the Save Open Space organization. Why are you silent on this? Both of you and the other board members here, your silence and complicity is with this destruction of 5 acres of our park open space prairie makes me wonder what exactly were your political motives concerning your strong support of open spaces, the open space movement, during your integrity election campaign? Please save our heritage open spaces now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. Craig and Al, you guys have 33C. Do you want to speak now or you want to wait till it comes up? Okay. And Frank Boujon?
Happy holidays, everybody. I got about 3 or 4 things to go over. Save all this money. I was trying to save money. One comment. I think I live at 159th and Hidden Valley Estates. They almost got killed coming here tonight. It's 45 miles an hour. They're going 75, 80. We got to make it down to 40, not 45. They're going way over. Right here, make a left turn, westbound. They got to, I don't know who we have to contact, INDOT, but I'm sure they want it faster to get more trucks going through. It's very dangerous. I usually make a U-turn. Mayor, can we do that ourselves? We got to go through INDOT.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Do we have the authority to reduce the speed limit from 45 to 40 at 159th Street?
On 159th Street, that's a state street, that's a state road.
Very
so no.
dangerous. Going to have a lot more accidents. Okay, that's...
Yeah, we don't have the authority to do that. That's
Okay.
an IDOT, situation.
Okay, we can petition them, can't we?
You can.
Okay. I have to do that or you do that?
Anybody can do that.
Okay. I think somebody that's a paid official should do it. I don't get paid. Not yet.
I don't get paid enough.
Oh, I think you do okay. Well, we want to talk about that. Okay, second thing, Illinois Department of Transportation, or Illinois American Water. Get your last 2 bills, anybody? Mine are $250 each month. I did a little research. We only had 1 lawsuit in all the years we've been here. In 2006, some citizen filed a lawsuit, they didn't have enough documentation. We're paying, if you look up on the internet, it's very, all you people should know this. I thought George would have done something all those years. We're paying $250 a month. You know what the city of Chicago pays for water? $25 a month. Orland pays $60. We're getting ripped off by Illinois American Water. Not only ripped off, but here's my suggestion. We had the Tea Party, 1776. We give them $25 a month. Everybody in the village gives them excess profits are $250. They're ripping us off to the tune. They're just screwing us around. Excuse me, as soon as you score it. South side background. But anyway, I don't use any. They just put a new meter in, and what they do when there's a meter loss, they charge us. They're not even doing this thing right. The village should take them off ASAP. Eminent domain, just like Orland Park did. They did it in a couple of years. Why'd you take it our 20 years to do it? Tinley Park's got water. It's terrible. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves. You're supposed to save us money. $250 a month we're paying. I get $3,000 a month in Social Security. I had my own business. I didn't have much of a savings plan, but I had good stock investments. But what I'm trying to say, how can we justify Illinois American Water? A German company, they're making $200 a month profit out of $250. That's 80%.
It's 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Boujon.
Can I go on with another statement?
No, the board would have to vote on that.
It's real important.
Mr. Boujon, your time is up.
The last one of the season.
Thank you, Mr. Boujon.
Well, I'm going to just say one thing. Recyclable bottles. Business. Bring these back to Jewel. You can make 15 trips with these trees. I worked this Coca-Cola in 1960. These are returnable bottles. Get for the nickel a bottle, at least one. I checked with Coca-Cola over there also. All these bottles are recyclable. No reason we're part of my EPA. Let's save the village money.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Boujon. Okay, moving on to reports and communications from President and other officers. Village Manager, Joe Baber.
Yes, just a reminder to the residents and businesses, they may make a request for proclamations and certificates of recognition from the village for significant historical events, nonprofit events, consideration with national events, significant achievements, sports teams, or other organizations and accomplishments. That's available on our website. Also, we got a coat drive, Toys for Tots, holiday light recycling donation boxes here at Village Hall. And in conclusion, I would just like to commend the staff here for all their efforts the last few weeks, difficult weeks we've had. It has really not only felt like an organization here, but I think it's pulled us all together as a family. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Village Finance Director, John Sawyers.
Thank you, Mayor. I provided a excerpt from the proposed ordinance for the next meeting, which is the 2023 levy request. I provided a schedule that shows the budget for 2024, where the funds are going to be coming from, and then the far right column is our budget request, which is 1.5 million. It's the same amount as the previous 3 years, so no increase. We'll continue to pay the street repavement program out of the MFT or the Capital Project Fund. We had no additional levy for parks. That's paid out of the park fund. So no increased cost to the residents for this coming up next tax year.
Good, that's what we like to hear.
Okay, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. This will have to be approved and delivered to the Will County offices by December 26th.
I don't see any questions.
Okay.
Thank you. Village Trustees, Trustee Consolino.
I have no report other than I would like to try and convey my wishes to our staff and wish them a Merry Christmas and hopes for a better year ahead. They've had a very painful month, and under severe emotional stress, they've continued to make our village shine bright and function to the best of its ability. And I just want to say thank you to you all.
Thank you, Trustee Consolino. Trustee Fialco.
Yes, I have no report. I would just like to say Merry Christmas to our wonderful village, and that would be it.
Thank you. Trustee Reinders.
Brett Westcott, if you could just bring us up to date on the RFP for parks, I would appreciate it.
There we go. Yeah, we've circulated a draft for the internal review just to make sure that everything's up to snuff. And once that I get all the comments back for that one, we can give that to you guys for a full review, and then we can move forward with that, bringing that to the board and moving forward with the master plan for Heritage Park.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have no other report.
Thank you.
I would also just like to wish our family here at the village a Merry Christmas.
Trustee McNaughton.
Merry Christmas. God bless you and your loved ones. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Mason.
Yes. First, I'd like to discuss, I heard it already brought up that there's a lot of speeding going on, and I look at the Will County Sheriff's report, and I'd like to thank Lieutenant Taylor and the Will County Sheriffs for keeping us all safe, but there were 102 tickets written in November. 75 of those were for speeding. So I know it's the holidays. I know everybody's rushing around trying to get ready and close it down for the Christmas holiday, but please be safe. The other thing I'd like to discuss.
Was that a segue in?
That's the, yes. So the next thing I'd like to discuss is the fire protection districts. I would like to express my sincere thanks to Deputy Chief Dave Bricker and the Homer Township Fire Protection District, as well as Deputy Chief Todd Fonfera of the Northwest Homer and Fire Protection District. On behalf of the Village Board, we appreciate both of you and your staffs for taking the time to educate and provide a much broader overview during my recent visit on December 8th to the various fire departments throughout Homer Glen. Also for servicing and protecting our great community. You gentlemen have been protecting the community with dedication and pride while upholding the highest level of service. We truly appreciate the countless men and women who have served and serve the district. Our residents can take advantage of many valuable resources and services these departments provide, from educational resources to correcting potential fire hazards, and all at no cost to the residents. It was my pleasure to join you men during our recent tour and learn about our fire districts in much greater detail. Again, thank you from all of us here at the Village. The last thing I would like to say is thank you to Parks and Events for putting on such a fun Christmas parade. It was a beautiful float. I had a blast. Thank you to Mayor and the other trustees who were able to attend. And Merry Christmas to the residents of Homer Glen. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Mason. Trustee Stylen?
Thank you. I would like to thank the staff for the wonderful job that they did on Homer for the holidays and the parade. I know it was a difficult time to pull everything together, and I think everything went well. I particularly enjoyed the Santa tracker and would like to see that again next year. The Community Development Committee will be meeting tomorrow, and we're looking forward to planning our activities for 2024. And likewise, I'd like to wish everybody a happy holiday season and a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Trustee Stylen. Madam Clerk? Okay. Village Attorney?
No report. Merry Christmas.
Public safety officials? Nothing? All right, that comes to me. Just a couple of things. Thank you to the staff for putting updates on the website regarding 143rd and Hadley Parker Shy Bloom. It's greatly appreciated. We're getting a lot of phone calls about traffic and the widening of 143rd. I did go to the Will County Transportation Committee meeting, and it looks like they're going to put it on hold to have more discussion with their county board members to talk about either expanding it to with a turn lane or 4 lanes in a turn lane. There were some comments made today about open space and whatnot. I never marched with an organization, just to clarify, but I can assure you I do stand with our open space lovers. There's a difference between open space and the need for parking in a park. I'm a realist. I understand that when something needs to be done, we have to expand, but I do not believe in expanding on concrete in open space, so there is a difference. And Mr. Walters, I believe you have my phone number for 8 years. You can call me at any time. I'm happy to talk to you, and I totally understand, but when we say things on record, I would like it to be truthful and factual. I actually didn't even vote on that matter, so to kind of come up here and say something about campaigns, let's just try to keep the negativity out of the meeting and bring it to me personally. I'm happy to talk to you. Happy to meet, conversation, email, anything you'd like. With that being said, I'm sorry?
You can't debate the fact, you try to make it personal.
I don't.
That's not open space, 5 acres.
No, that's not deemed open space. It's a park. It's a park. Right. Okay, we'll agree to disagree. All right, but in reminder of this, I'd like to remind everyone that while most are preparing to celebrate the holidays, some are just trying to make it through, whether it be a loss of a family member, a job, a pet, or even loss of hope. A kind gesture and giving grace can go a long way. Please be kind to everyone always and cherish the moments this holiday season. All right. Moving on to consent agenda. Consider for approval the accounts payable for the period of November 10th, 2023 through December 14th, 2023 in the amount of $1,678,062.42. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Reinders, is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Mason. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Abstain.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
I'm going to abstain.
And Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to L1, consider for approval payment of the Village of Homer Glen September legal bills from Peterson, Johnson, and Murray in the amount of $14,553.50. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Can I ask that this item be tabled to the Monday agenda? I want to make an adjustment on the bill. Is that okay?
This is the September.
Oh, September.
September bills.
Sorry.
Yep.
Well, a trustee one has to make that motion to table something, right?
I was just recommending, I thought it was October bill, and Joe and I have been going.
Yes.
That's my bad.
We tabled this once already, though.
Yes, we did.
And so
Okay.
I don't know what, can
So-
you tell us what needs to be adjusted?
Can we make a motion on it first to have a discussion? He misspoke. He thought
we
this
did.
was
You got
October.
to.
I made the motion.
No, I didn't even say, trustee Mason, and who was the second?
Sorry.
I'll second.
Trustee Snyland. Okay, discussion. Trustee Mason,
I have no issues with it. I've read through it. I think it's fine.
trustee Snyland,
I agreed. I don't have any issues.
trustee Fialko.
No, all I'm saying is we tabled this before. It had to do with with one person being paid for travel to come to a village board meeting as a lawyer, and one person that wasn't taking travel. That's got cleared up as far as I know. Maybe that could be explained a little bit to just clear it up for the public. And then, could you tell me what it is that you want to change in here, being that this was already tabled once?
So I would ask that all questions be directed to me. I can tell
was
you.
looking right at you.
Okay, I will tell you that the attorney misspoke. He was thinking it was the October bill, from what I can understand in our discussion earlier. This is the September bill that was tabled due to exactly what you just said, which was removed from the bill, and going forward, there will be no more charge for travel.
Okay, I still have
Yep.
can continue, right? With that said, and on this bill, what I'd like to do, we have thousands of dollars that are going towards dissolving the township that have been paid towards the attorney. I'd like to eventually hear from the attorney today, if we can, whether we, as the village, can dissolve the township, because we've paid you thousands of dollars to find out. And what I'd like to do is actually ask this board to stop allowing any more expenditures on legal fees towards dissolving the township if we already know through your research that we've paid for that we can't do that until certain requirements are met. Including, we talked about getting it on a referendum. So if we can update that a little bit so we know where we're spending money. Because if we can't do it, there's no reason to continue spending thousands and thousands of dollars towards legal fees that aren't helping anything. So that's where I'm at. I don't mind if there's a process and I know about it and we have a goal, but right now there seems to be no goal. It looks like just a divorce from the township that we're kind of working on and hoping. And I'd rather us know what the plan is and then pay legal fees continuing from here, from here on. If we don't have a plan, then we shouldn't pay legal fees for it anymore until we have a complete plan on what the actual goal is. So would you be able to ask the lawyer where he's at with dissolving the township and the fees they've charged us?
I don't need to ask him. I can respond to you. So the question on the referendum is, again, an advisory question.
Understood.
So the attorneys had looked into the information of the future of possibly dissolving, and if it can even be done for even the question to be put on as an advisory. No more money as of right now is being spent on that. We haven't asked any questions. We haven't done anything with it. This was just a advisory question because unfortunately it was put out there into the public, into the world of Homer Glen, before any of us can have any discussion. And we clarified this at 2 meetings already. So no more money is being spent as of right now. It's going to be a discussion amongst the board. We had a few things happen in the village that postponed that. I didn't think it was a time to bring it up.
Okay. With that said, again, you're saying from this date forward or for the month of November, we won't have any fees?
Until we have a discussion about it, there's not going to be any more fees.
From today or from November? I'm trying, this is September. This is September's bill, so I'm trying to figure out when did it end?
We haven't had a discussion about it since the bill.
So since this bill here...
Whatever this bill is, whatever this one was,
so
which
from
was
September,
discussed.
at the end of September, we should have no more billing towards dissolving the township, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you done?
Yes, that's why I said thank you.
Trustee McNaughton? Trustee Consolino?
Yes, because several things that disturb me, including trustees laughing about this. We spent $5,095, or we're being billed $5,095 in regards to what I could count on here, solely for township dissolution. Okay, so that's for the month of September.
Is it 5,000 or 4,000?
$5,095. Okay, that's what I could read that clearly said it was associated with the township dissolution. This was for the month of September, and this was prior to the vote that you guys approved to go ahead with this, with the referendum. So I don't understand how we could get billed so much money for something we hadn't quite yet voted on.
Because you have to just, are you asking me this question?
Yeah, because
you have
I
to.
didn't get consent.
So this is how the process works. So when something is brought up, right, like everything that we're talking about today on this agenda goes to the attorney prior to it coming to the agenda. So the attorney had to write the resolution or the ordinance or the whatever it is, the referendum question, I should say. He had to see it first to write the referendum question, right? It's not something we can vote on and then have him write the referendum.
Who, for clarification then, in truth and transparency on the board, who authorized that?
It was discussed at a board meeting prior and then brought to the next board meeting.
Who gave the approval?
The approval of what?
Who asked for that to be on the agenda?
It was at a board meeting we discussed it.
I don't remember a discussion before that.
Yes, there was.
No.
There was a discussion about it prior to it being on the agenda.
I'll double check. Okay. But no, and then for last month, for October, it's about $2,000 that I added up.
Okay. We're not
So now we're
talking about
at $7,000
October,
for township dissolution.
I don't see it on the October bill, or I didn't look at it for the October.
We'd have to review the October bills and see exactly where there may have been some overlap.
And that's why October's not on here.
So there's my problem with it.
Yep. Okay, Trustee Reinders?
I just was a little taken back myself at, I felt that there was a lot of repetition on this bill, that the research that they were doing was basically mostly about McHenry County. And I think that was something that we could basically ourselves kind of looked up with the statutes and stuff like that. So that was my problem, is that I thought that there was a lot of repetition about research, in that that maybe staff could have looked up some of that stuff for us instead of incurring the legal fields, because I added it up myself and it did come out to over $5,000.
Okay. All right, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Fialco?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to L2. Consider for approval ordinance number 23-066, a request for 1, a map amendment for R3A single-family residential to R2 single-family estate residential. 2, a variance to reduce the west side setback for existing principal structure from the required 20 feet to 12 feet. 3, a variance to reduce the west side setback for existing open front porch from the required 10 feet to 9 feet. And 4, a variance for existing lot width from the required 150 feet to 147 feet for certain real property located in the R3A single-family residential district at 12513 West Hadley Road, Homer, Glen, Illinois, HG 2323AB. Is there a motion?
I'll second.
So moved.
Trustee Reinders and Trustee Mason. Trustee Reinders?
I basically looked over this, and what it actually seems to me is that this is a large parcel of land that actually should be rezoned, and it meets the criteria for it without adding the few variants that it needs. It's not really that much, and in the area that it's in, I mean, for them to be able to do this, they're going to need these variances. So, and the Plan Commission approved it, so I don't see anything wrong with it.
Trustee Mason?
Trustee Reinders stole my exact words. It's a big piece of property. The Plan Commission voted 7-0 to adopt it, and I don't see why not.
Thank you. Trustee Stylen?
No, I agree. This similar parcel came to us before, and this is just the second half.
Trustee Consolino?
No, there's no public comment, surprisingly, from anyone over in the Hadley Parker Road area. And so between that, the 7-0, sorry, Planning Commission recommendation, they have no problems with it. There's no neighbor complaints. I have driven by the structure, and that's why I was surprised that there were no complaints from the Hadley Road area. But if everybody's okay with it, then yes, I'm okay with it too.
Trustee Fialko?
Nothing to say that hasn't been said.
Trustee McNaughton?
Good to go, thank you.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to L3. Consider for approval ordinance number 23-067, a request for 1, a map amendment from A1 agricultural to P1 government buildings and public schools. 2, special use permit for an education facility, school. 3, site plan approval. 4, a variance to eliminate the requirement for parking lot island landscaping with the proposed oval-shaped north lot. And 5, a variance to reduce the amount of dense evergreen screening between off-street parking areas larger than 4 spaces that are adjacent to property zoned for residential use. This variance request applies to the proposed parking adjacent to the north property line, all for certain real property located in the A1 agricultural district at 15711, 15731, and 15733 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois, HG 2321 ASPV. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Consolino, is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Reinders. Trustee Consolino?
Yes, you know, as sitting on the Environment Committee and also over development projects that we've had the past couple of years, I prefer to keep the dense evergreen screening. I like to have more sound buffers, especially with this being a school area. I would like to ask the mayor if she can ask staff for clarification if this is a normal request that we've had in the past.
Melissa, is this a normal request?
It is not always normal, but in this case, there is some justification in the findings of fact that were presented at Plan Commission. The topography in this area is pretty extensive. They actually went to, their initial plan didn't have any in it, and they did add some landscaping in this area where they could, up to where the slopes were too intensive to plant on.
Thank you. Trustee Consolino, do you have any more comments?
No, I would prefer heavy as possible landscaping. Do you think that, could you ask her if that, she thinks, in her opinion, did they do the best that they could with the topography and consideration?
Melissa?
I do think it's sufficient.
Thank you.
Trustee Reinders?
I have no problem with it. I think the additions are going to bring more space for, as our community grows, we'll have more space in the classrooms and the school. Oh, sorry. I believe that this is going to be good for the community as the community grows with the increase in classrooms and the cafeteria. The one thing that I looked at on here was, why do we have to have 3 gyms in 2 buildings? That was my only concern. But other than that, I think it's good for the community.
Thank you. Trustee Fialko?
The Planning Commission looks like they did their job on this. I would like you to ask, if you could, Mayor, Melissa King, if she has any additional concerns besides the Planning Commission approving this. Did she have any additional concerns herself?
Melissa?
I do not at this time.
Would that be it?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
I do not.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Trustee Stylen?
Yes, I like the idea of the schools being connected and being able to walk from one to the other without having to go outside. I do want to make a point that the Plan Commission did recommend to straighten the bus access off of Bell Road to the drop-off and create an island separating the car traffic from the bus traffic. And after the Plan Commission meeting, we received letters from the architect and engineering firm and the school stating why that was not going to be very doable to do. So that's removed from this motion, and there might be a procedural thing there, but it should be noted that we're not including the Plan Commission's recommendation.
Ooh, I've got a question on that. Wait, so we're not approved, wait, say that again?
The Plan Commission had 2 conditions on this project. One was to process a plat of consolidation, and the other one was to recommend to straighten the bus access off of Bell Road to the north drop-off and create an island separating the car traffic from the bus traffic.
And that's not included in here?
No,
It's not, but you'll
included
see
with
on
the
page,
motion.
so I have the planning commission recommendations, it's on the first page, into the second. And on the second page at the top, I have a review of that condition, and then what staff's opinion, myself, Brett, Taylor, in conclusion with their opinion as well. And all those opinions are also attachments in the packet. They were presented.
Okay, so I have a question, if I may. This is for you, Mr. O'Grady. If it was the planning commission's recommendation, did they vote on that's what they wanted?
They did.
So do we need a supermajority not to agree with the planning commission?
No, but I think you just should say that why you're going forward without taking their recommendation.
So we don't need 4 trustees to vote?
I don't believe so.
Okay, just for clarification, because I know there's some rule there. Okay.
We're not overturning their recommendation. We're not overturning their vote. They recommended it with the conditions. We're just saying that the conditions that they asked for that couldn't be done by the engineering, if I understand it correctly, were not met for reasons, and that we're okay going forward without those conditions.
Okay.
So we're not overturning.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I thought the rule, when we went through this with the senior living facility, it had nothing to do with it being overturned, because we weren't overturning anything. It was because we voted the same way that the planning commission did. So it was, the vote is 4 trustees. It has to be a supermajority of the trustees. Mayor could not be included on that. So yes, and no to Mr. O'Grady.
Do you see, because I believe that's what happened, as Trustee Cancelino said. If the planning commission votes for something and the board does not agree, so if the board votes different than what planning commission,
No, I think it's a denial. I think it has to be a denial. Is that correct,
okay,
Paul?
so it's not a
denial.
recommendation. Okay,
Correct.
okay. Got it. All right. Okay. Trustee McNaughton?
No, with that clarification, that makes sense. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Mason?
No, I concur with the other trustees under those conditions. I don't see any reason why not.
All right. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Cancelino?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
And Trustee Stylen?
Hi.
Motion carries with all the trustees. Consider, number 4, consider for approval ordinance number 23-068, an ordinance providing for the addition of Parker Road, CH1 for the New Lenox Homer Township line northerly 1.04 miles to north edge of pavement of Chicago Bloomington Trail, Hadley Road in its entirety, and Chicago Bloomington Trail, Hadley Road from the west edge of pavement of Parker Road, easterly and northeasterly 2.10 miles to the Wilcook County line in its entirety, a distance of approximately 3.14 miles be added to the village street system.
So moved.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that second.
Thank you, Trustee Cancelino.
I would like
Trustee
to-
Fialko, Trustee Cancelino, go ahead.
I would like to table this, just like I asked before, but with one addition. I would like to amend, due to the phone calls that I keep getting from residents over in that area, they would still like protections added into this so that things can't get changed down the line. One of the requests was that the state motor fuel tax could not be used, so that IDOT could not come in and change things at some point, and that we would have to abide by their rules. So I would like to table until the next meeting, once this is voted on by Will County Board, and then I would also like to discuss amending to add in the protections.
Okay, I believe we talked about adding those conditions in because I agree with you on future, but I believe it was Attorney Pasquinelli at the time said we could not put further conditions on further boards. We could not tell them they can't do something.
No, I think that was Trustee Mason that stated that at the meeting.
No, it wasn't. It's what was said.
I can respond. It was it was the attorney.
The attorney.
Pasquinelli, who was here that said it, because I believe I asked him again after the meeting.
I would like to request still looking into that a little more, if possible. Thank you.
Trustee Fialko, you made the second?
Yeah, I did. I mean, as far as tabling it, though, we made the motion, the first and the second on the motion, but now it's being motioned.
No,
tabled, correct?
And she made trustee Consolino made the motion to table.
Right, okay. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
But do we have a second to table?
Yes, I'll second that to
Okay.
table. I don't remember hearing a second for it, so anyway, we've got it now. But I agree with tabling this until our next meeting in January. That way, Will County will have voted on the 21st. We'll have a better understanding of what they're saying and what their thoughts are. You and I and Sue Stalin, Trustee Stalin, we were at that meeting. They passed it. It was actually the Will County Transportation Department's committee meeting, and they voted to turn it over to us. The meeting is actually on the 21st of December with Will County Board to then do that. So I think it makes sense to wait till their meeting's over. But in addition to that, I think what I'm hearing is I remember Mike Pasquinelli saying that. But the thing is, we can develop an ordinance to protect that road. That would be a buffer. It wouldn't stop another board 10 years from now from doing it. But the ordinance would be a buffer. I did ask if we could create an ordinance, and it is thought that we could. Obviously, we'd have to check with Council, Paul, and Mike again, but we would create an ordinance to stop them from basically repairing the road with federal or state money to improve it to what Will County originally wanted to do, right? So when we create that ordinance, it would be a buffer to slow down things just a little bit, and then they'd have to change that ordinance and do what they want to do. That would be my thought, to protect the residents of Homer Glen from the same thing that we're trying to protect them from now, from happening in the future. Could it still be done? Yes, but that would slow the process down, that's all.
Trustee Fialko, I agree, and as we discussed the last time this was discussed, that was our hopes, that it never changes.
Right.
As you know, though, ordinances can be changed at any time, and I don't want to give any residents false hope that an ordinance was made and cannot be changed. An ordinance can be changed at any time. I mean, you guys know well that it can be changed at any time. So I don't want to, I mean, I agree that we can do something, or we should. I just don't want to give any residents false hope that in the future it cannot be changed.
I don't think it's given false hope. I mean, taking over the road is kind of, I mean, it's hopeful that nothing will happen, but if you're saying that, by taking the road is giving false hope too. By putting an ordinance in there with taking over the road, all it's going to do is slow the process down a little bit so they can relook at it, because they might not know what we're going through right now 10 years from now. The ordinance would just create, or if you wanted to put something, if maybe Paul would recommend something else, just to slow it down so a board 10 years from now would go, oh, this is what they were doing, this is why they did it, and they were looking to protect this road from being built to, basically cause a hardship on the residents in that area. So I think we can do something. I'm not saying that it would stop things completely. I'm saying it would slow down the process, so it would have to be looked at a little bit closer than just saying repair the road. That's all.
Trustee McNaughton? No. Trustee Steilen? We're talking about tabling, by the way.
Okay, I'm not ready to table it. I think we need some discussion before tabling it, because I don't see what we're going to accomplish by tabling it that we can't accomplish today. Does the county need this document from us for their board meeting?
Trustee Steilen?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Melissa, does
The county needs this document from us to process it with IDOT, the formal jurisdictional transfer. I do have an email from Jeff Ronaldson that basically stated that he did not think that the board would be inclined to want to approve without our approval in place already. At first, I'd spoken with you about this, I think, because I think at first I went back to him and said, well, no, I don't think my board's going to approve this without Will County approving it first, which is exactly what Dan said, or Trustee Fialko. And then he responded in an email that way, and I think I thought on it for a day and talked with you, and I think with this, depending on what this board wants to do, I think it's kind of a moot point whether or not Will County, we've already engaged and passed a resolution that we would do this, giving them the instigation to do it. And unless this board feels like if they pass it, we want to back out. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the conversation that needs to happen, because it's kind of like chicken and egg, I guess, right? Like, this board's going to feel the same way as the Will County Board.
Thank you, Melissa.
So I think their board is meeting on the 21st, and I think we need to do this before the 21st to show the county that we are sincere with this. And by delaying it, we are opening up the door for something going wrong. We are the people that are in power of protecting this road by taking ownership of this road. And we are the ones that will decide whether to use motor. If we have the road in our possession, we are the ones who decide whether or not to use motor fuel tax or state money. The more we leave this lingering out there, the more opportunity we're giving the county or somebody else to do what they want with the road.
Thank you, Trustee Steinle. Trustee Mason?
I concur with Trustee Steinle. I don't know why we need to table it. I think we need to open it up for discussion. There's no sense haste is waste. Chicken before the egg is what I just heard. That's exactly how I feel about it. So I'm ready to discuss it now.
Thank you, Trustee Mason. Trustee Reinders?
In the beginning, I thought it was kind of premature, but if this is something that Will County is looking for us to do in order to move forward or to prepare something for the Will County Board, in light of us being 100% on board with this, then I see no problem with it.
Thank you, Trustee Reinders. I did have a conversation with Jeff, I always say his last name wrong, Ronaldson. He did, when he saw that it was on our January agenda originally, he did ask why we were waiting till after their meeting. And I asked him, is this something you would like before your meeting? And he did say yes. So I do agree with putting it through now, just so they have it. It's not going to make any difference, just like when we voted on taking it before they agreed to it. I mean, that's just, even with the New Lenox, we said we would take it if New Lenox didn't. We're just kind of putting our feet out, or putting ourselves out there to say, yes, this is what we want, kind of giving them a little reassurance on doing so. So,
may I?
Is there any second comments? Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Fialko.
I see what's being said. The problem with that is you talked about the egg before the chicken. Well, that's kind of like what we're doing here. And I'd like us to ask council, is it normal that we would try and take ownership of something before it's actually voted to give it to us? We did the resolution. The resolution has given the indication. Now, Melissa King said two things. One, she said they were happy with the resolution. Two, she said that they were kind of looking for something from us. So I'm not clear that they actually need us to vote on it today. To me, that is putting the egg before the chicken. It doesn't make sense. And so as far as council goes, I don't know if this is normally done. This is something this is the first time I'm seeing this. But would we normally try to take possession of something through an ordinance before we actually get ownership, or the transfer takes place by a board voting on something? We're actually going to be voting on something to take it that they have not given the consent through their board to give to us. So egg, chicken, yeah, I see it that way too, but just from 180 degrees difference. Could we ask council that question?
Well, I guess my counter question would be to you is, wouldn't we be putting the county board in the same position, them not knowing that we want it before giving it to us?
We have the resolution, and we have the resolution that we did, and I heard two different things from Melissa, and I really think that we're trying to take ownership of something that we don't I'd say legally, we haven't been given. It hasn't been given to us. To wait one more meeting to make sure that they've dotted their I's and crossed their T's and nothing changes. We want to do this for the village. We all know that. We did the resolution, but it makes absolutely no sense to try and take ownership of something that hasn't been given to us. To me, that just makes common sense. That you can't own something or pass an ordinance for something that hasn't been given to you. So that's where I'm at. And I wish we would just ask council, please, for his bit of advice on this.
But what's your question to council, that if it's normal to ask for something before it's given to us?
I'm asking council if he's ever seen this done before, and is it normal to try and take ownership through an ordinance before you've actually been given the thing through a vote from another government entity? The other government, Will County, has not given it to us yet.
They have to have their meeting, and as soon as, hey, you want to call a special meeting on the 22nd? I'll be here for it. But well, I'm just trying to say, I
Okay,
don't...
Attorney, do you have an answer for that?
Yes, this is how you do it. You can do it either way, but yes, some government agency has to go first, whether you're buying from a park district or a county. This happens all the time.
Does that answer your question?
As far as, he didn't say as far as what?
Somebody's, you know, the land's being transferred. What I heard from Melissa said, if I heard it correctly, they're asking for us to pass the ordinance first, recognizing that the village is going to take on the responsibility of the road and under what conditions. And once they see that we passed it, they're going to take it up and transfer the property.
One last question. If they vote no on the 21st, what does that do?
And it's null and void.
Well, that was my point. Okay. So you think we should vote on something we don't have yet? Okay. That's legal's advice. That's what I'll go with.
Trustee Cancelino?
I have one more question since we're in discussion regarding this. Have we come up with any idea of how much this is going to cost us to either maintain or repair? Do we have a plan yet in place for that? Do we know?
Is that the end of your question?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Westcott, you had given us an estimate roughly a couple of times already. Can you restate that again? Or read it to us in there?
Yes, it is in the packet here. Yeah, page 2 of 3 really runs through all of those estimates that I did for annual maintenance costs, resurfacing estimates, estimates for removal and replacement of pavement. We have some intersection improvement estimates, and then all of those with kind of today dollars and then cost of contingency and inflation. I worked with Mr. Woods in regards to estimates for public works staff, what that would cost per mile for maintenance, and then what that would cost us in terms of what we anticipated for the salary of another public works employee to be added for that.
Can you add to that on how we can get those funds, or Mr. Sawyers, can you answer that?
Well, it would be from the existing fund equity that we have. It would.
Okay. Does that answer your questions, Trustee Cancelino?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Mason?
I was just going to state that it was pretty obvious that the intent is to take the road. The numbers are actually in there if you read them. I saw that, and thank you, Mr. Westcott. But the overall glaring is the intent. We have to show the intent.
Thank you. Trustee McNaughton?
No, ma'am. I understand, enjoyed the chicken or the egg conversation. Someone has to move first. We gave our commitment, maybe not the entire board, to the folks that came in, that met with us many times, that we would take action on this. I'm still in favor of taking action. This is not binding. If they say no, deal's off. Ready to go. Thank you.
Trustee Stylen?
No, I think I've said enough.
Trustee Reinders?
I'm good.
All right. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll for
My motion to table, I'm going to remove my motion to table.
So then I'm not going to ask you to do the roll call for tabling.
I'm going to remove my motion to table. The second.
Second.
Yes.
He's the second.
I was the first.
Are you removing your first?
So
Okay, so now we're going to call the roll for the original motion.
You had a first and a second to approve, correct?
Trustee McNaughton?
Yes.
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Based on legal counsel's advice, aye.
Trustee Cancelino?
Abstain.
And Trustee Mason?
Aye.
You voted aye, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Motion carries. L5, consider for approval the reduction of the letter of credit for Gas and Wash Gauger Road to the amount of $43,539.80 in accordance with the village code. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Fialko, is there a second? Trustee Reinders? Trustee Fialko?
Nothing.
Trustee Reinders?
Nothing.
Trustee Cancelino?
Nothing.
Trustee Stylen?
Nothing.
Trustee McNaughton?
No, ma'am.
Trustee Mason?
No, ma'am.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 6, consider for approval the reduction of the letter of credit for Phase 2 of the Square at Goodings Grove development to the new amount of $23,152.19 in accordance with the village code. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Fialko, is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Reinders? Trustee Fialko?
Nothing.
Trustee Reinders?
Nope.
Trustee McNaughton?
No, ma'am.
Trustee Mason?
No, ma'am.
Trustee Stylen?
No.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Motion carries. L7, consider for approval pay estimate 1 for the Heritage Park parking expansion project in the amount of $520,694.78. Is there a motion? Trustee Mason, Trustee Trustee Reinders? Trustee Mason?
No, ma'am.
Trustee Reinders?
No, this is the first payment, so no.
Trustee McNaughton?
No, ma'am.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Trustee Stylen?
No.
Trustee Fialko?
Nothing.
I was going to have something to say, but I'll let it go.
Thank you for not.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Consolino?
No.
Trustee Reinders?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Motion carries. L8, consider for approval ordinance number 23-065, amending Article 7? Those numbers still get me to this day. Of Chapter 83 of the Code of the Village of Homer Glen, providing the control of alcoholic liquor. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Fialko, is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Consolino. Okay. Any discussion?
Well,
Trustee Fialko, I'm sorry, I kind of screwed up there.
that's all right.
I can admit when I make a
That's
mistake.
Yes, what I'd like to do is actually make a motion to amend this under page 2. It would be under number 3. The annual fee for the Class V license shall be $300. I really don't, I'd like to know where we came up with that number for one, but I'd like to, and I guess I'd like to raise it to 500. I think 300 is way too low. And so what I'd like to do is to amend that to make it, and that would be the only thing on this that I have a comment on.
I'm sorry, can you tell me again where that was?
If you go to page 2, just flip over the,
Oh, I see, the
motion.
annual fee.
Page 2, number 3, it's $300. I think that is way, way too low for alcohol. I mean, there's a lot of things in fees that are associated with alcohol. And if I had a store where I was serving alcohol and then somebody could come along and just do this for the $300, I would be upset. So anyway, I'd like to make the motion to amend number 3 to change it from $300 to $500. I guess I need a second.
Trustee Stylen is making the second to amend. I do remember what I wanted to say when I paused. Trustee Reinders must abstain from, or refrain from speaking due to the conflict of having a liquor license. Okay, so who made the second? Trustee Consolino.
It was me.
Oh, Trustee Stylen? You second to tape, or to, what is going on? To amend.
Oh, to amend.
Do you have any discussion on that?
No, I see Trustee Fialko's point, and I would support it.
Trustee Mason?
No, ma'am.
Trustee McNaughton?
In favor? No, ma'am.
Trustee Consolino?
I'm in agreement with that.
Okay, I have a question, though. I'm looking at the fees, and we're talking about Class V license. I don't even see V in my, I know my glasses are thick, but I could be missing something. Where's V? Oh, the salon.
All the way.
Yeah, I'm looking at the very last page, I guess. I was looking at this one, because I don't see the prorated for V on here. Okay, that's what I was looking at, but it's on the page and before it. So $500 is what you want to increase the V license to for salons.
It's on page 18, right?
Oh, I'm looking at this page.
Of the order, right.
Man.
Thank you, Sue. Trustee Stalin?
Okay, yeah, it's also on the last page. Okay, so we're making that was the motion to amend, so we're voting on the amendment since there's no other discussion. Is there any more amendments? Is there any more discussion? Is there any more anything on this? No.
And this is changing it from 300 to 500, just the fee, correct?
Yes. Yes. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Okay, now we're going to do a roll call to approve the amendment.
I think we should have another first and a second because we're now approving an amended ordinance. We had a first and a second on the old ordinance. Now we've amended
Remember we
it.
went through this before?
So now we have to have a vote on the amended ordinance, but I think we need a first and a second because we have now amended the ordinance.
Is there a first?
moved.
Is there a second?
I'll make it. All right.
No more discussion? Consolino and Mason? Okay, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Consolino?
Aye.
Trustee Fialko?
Aye.
Trustee McNaughton?
Aye.
Trustee Mason?
Aye.
Trustee Stylen?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to old business, marketing brand and village gateway signage. Oh, boy.
I asked for this to be put on here.
Okay, it says,
If I could speak, I'm just saying, if you want me to address it, why I put it on here?
Sure.
Okay, I had a talk with Janie Patch, and she's looking for something from the board. She has sent out an email. We all had a lot of things going on, but what she's looking for is just a little bit of guidance as to how to get started. In my conversation, we talked about, and Trustee Stalin even said, we don't want that saying or that phrase that's on there now. We want to go back to community and nature and harmony. I'd like for us to discuss that if we can now and give her some direction so she can change it to what it originally was with the founding fathers. And then the other thing was to give her the flexibility to start looking at that western entranceway with some options we had spoke about down there, and she may come up with some other ones. But other than that, I was thinking for branding and for all that, to keep the rest of it on hold, but at least get her started in the right direction. And I think when let's talk about the downtown area and incorporating a bunch of things, we can move forward with branding at that time. But that's as much as I understand that she needed to get started. So.
Thank you for clarifying that. Janie, do you have anything to discuss? I mean, I know it says staff contact is Deputy Clerk Gina Marcotte and Janie Patch, so I figured if you guys had anything to say or add, or is that what you're looking for, is some kind of consensus to, I didn't know if you meant remove the Know Your Home or if use it in a different way.
Yeah, I think the message that I put out to the board was offering a strategy for how we could move forward from the discussion at the workshop on November the 8th. And the thought would be, and I talked with Trustee Stylen about this, is that without having to go back and redesign a marketing brand that we've already gone through a public process for and the board actually approved and that we actually have it service marked at the federal level, is to work with the use matrix that is within the brand guidebook and incorporate the village slogan, which is community and nature and harmony, and how that should be used and can be used. And I would, applaud it, coming into marketing purposes as well. It may be more about back-burnering the tagline, "You know your home." It can still be used, but it is not the primary brand mark itself. And there is an interest in seeing more of the village slogan show up in all of our materials and so forth. So the idea was that could be done without literally blowing up the whole brand by working with the use matrix. And the other suggestion was maybe to offer that the Community Development Committee undertake this task and come back with recommendations, because I think there had been some interest in that group to look at branding and to be able to move forward with it that way. If they come back with a recommendation, it would be to maybe amend the use matrix and then go ahead and use the vehicle that was offered on November the 8th, a resolution that would just, it's already been approved as part of as a marketing brand for the village, but it would be to amend the brand guidebook and adopt a resolution that just keeps that record very clear going forward, because the minutes from the meeting that did all of that don't go into those kind of details. The resolution really puts forth all of the information that went into coming up with a marketing brand. So that was a solution that I offered to the board, and it was just looking for direction.
Did you receive any direction?
Trustee Fialco stopped by. I talked to Trustee Stylen. I also talked to Trustee Reinders about it.
And myself.
So,
okay.
and yourself, that's correct.
Okay, so I guess what Janie's looking for is a consensus right now, and just trying to try to summarize that, is to backburn the You Know Your Home, right? And amend the guidebook and adopt a resolution on basically how to move forward and with what. Is that what you're looking for?
Yes.
And feedback from every trustee, so we don't have to go through a whole workshop.
And the suggestion that maybe this could land in the Community Development Committee to take care of the legwork for that and come back with a recommendation and move forward as appropriate.
Trustee Stylen, do you have anything to add to that, since I know you were working on this too?
Yeah, no, I'm fine if the committee can take a look at it. We could look at the matrix and, see if there's anything, how we could use the, You Know Your Home. We own it, so why not see if there, like where it would be used versus community, nature, and harmony.
Is there any more comments on this? I do have to say, when I went to the Will County Transportation Committee meeting, there was 31 residents who spoke and like 40 emails, and over and over and over and over you heard community and nature in harmony. Not once did I hear You Know Your Home. So I don't think people even really know that that's the tagline, but I think just by listening to that one meeting, that's what people want, is the community, nature, and harmony. So yeah, so I think Janie's looking from a consensus. We can't vote because there's no agenda item, but Trustee Consolino, is there consensus from you? Trustee Fialco?
I'm okay with it.
Trustee Reinders?
I'm good with it. Definitely.
Trustee Stylen? Yes, Trustee Mason?
We're backburnering the tagline, You Know Your Home. And we own it. We could use it at a later date, kind of like what we have going.
And Trustee McNaughton?
Stick with what's working.
Okay. Does that help, Janie?
I think so.
Okay, good.
Would the board like us to put the resolution back on the agenda, or do you?
I thought we were working with a matrix that we were going to take a look at.
So I have my committee meeting tomorrow, and I think we might even have that on our agenda, or I can just bring it up under new business and just get some input before it comes to the board again.
Yeah, just get a consensus from your committee. Yep. So you and Trustee Stylen work together?
Work together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any more items for old business? Trustee Fialco?
Nope.
Okay, I do have something.
Yes,
Go ahead, Trustee
one thing,
Fialco.
I'm sorry, I overlooked it real quick, I'm sorry. It will only take a second. We did, under old business, we've come up with a contract for our interim village manager, Joe Baber. It wasn't on here, I asked Joe, and as far as I know, we're having a special, it's not a special meeting anymore because there's more than one thing on the agenda. But the way I understand it, and I'm just looking for clarity, is December 18th, we'll have a pretty healthy agenda, and the interim village manager's contract will be included in that process on the 18th of December.
That is correct.
Correct? Okay, thank you.
This is more for staff, I guess, for old business, since I heard it a few times tonight, that the trustees are looking for recommendations from you, or your opinion, or your advice, or your knowledge on items that come before us. Maybe if in the staff memo section, and usually that's what happens, is it's a staff recommendation. But if it's your agenda item, maybe you can give a quick little blip or something to say, so we don't have to go through this whole, can you give your recommendation, can you do this, can you just have it in there so then the board is prepared before the meeting. Okay, that's it. All right, moving on to new business. Is there new business? Anybody on the right? Anybody on the left?
I would just like to say under new business, because we've kind of changed as far as getting information, and I just want to say thank you to Joe and yourself for getting information to us in an expedited manner. I've been happy with the information that I've received in the past couple of weeks, where in the beginning it was a little slow. We had a transition period, but thank you, Joe, for keeping us informed at the level that you have been for the past 2 weeks here.
So Joe and I had discussed that, so you're not getting bombarded with emails from both of us and touching on the same topics. I'm going to send mine to Joe, and he's going to send it to everybody. What my update is, just to keep it, so you guys aren't getting bombarded. Okay. Workshop, discussion regarding changes to Article, what is that, 5, 6? No, 6. 6. I know it's not 5, but 6. Video gaming. Yeah. Right, we got a workshop. Let me get to it. Oh, it's right here. All right. Ms. Marcotte, would you like to take the floor?
Okay, I will make this very quick. So the purpose of this workshop is to get the board's consensus of how you would like for staff to change the gaming code. So I included in this PowerPoint stuff that I have already given to you to go over, but I included it in here in case you have questions and want me to reference back to this. But it is the peer communities comparison chart that I did, which shows what we do as far as our gaming versus the peer communities. And then I also included the top communities in Illinois to show which ones have gaming and which ones don't allow it. And then for this slide, Janie Patch put together, and this shows the square footage of each business in Homer Glen that has gaming. And she ranked the square footage from least to the highest. And then in this slide, Janie Patch put together to show the different businesses with gaming and their location to show you which ones are kind of close together. And then in this slide, it goes over the gaming revenue report in case you have any questions regarding that. And then we also took the gaming code to the Economic Development Committee. And when they went through it, one committee member favored imposing a wait period between the issuance of liquor and gaming licenses. 4 were against imposing a wait period. 3 committee members conditionally favored board approval of a gaming license. There was a unanimous consensus for either no cap on the number of gaming licenses or a high cap with review as the limit is reached. There was also a unanimous conditional consensus to continue to permit gaming at gas stations as long as there is adherence to the current code criteria for eligibility. And then there was also a unanimous consensus to recommend the village find ways to increase operator fees from gaming. Now, you also email me with the things that you wanted, that each of you wanted changed in the code, and that is what I would like to focus on tonight. And I will start with you, Mayor Knightsky-Troicke.
You want me to read those, or you want you?
Well, I just would like you to, for each of you to go over and explain what you would like changed and the reasons why, and then after each of you go through it, if you have any questions for me or questions for each other, and then hopefully come to a consensus and an agreement of what you would like for us to change on it.
Okay, so this is mine before you. Where it says no limit on numbers of terminal machines doesn't mean that it wouldn't come to the board to increase when we do like liquor licenses. So this is not saying let's have an unlimited numbers. Obviously, it has to come before the board when we do our liquor licenses. And it also says number of terminals and machines. There is a limit of 6 per the state. So I think we should leave it at state, or 6, since that's what the state guidelines are. Prohibited, I do not wish to continue to have gas stations or truck stops with gaming. I have on here increase the fees for each terminal. I reviewed what other people had asked for. I don't think we should put in thousands of dollars. We can increase it a little bit. Yes, you, Mr. Mason. I think we can increase it, but if you looked at one of the slides, which I didn't see, there was a comparison of what other towns charge per terminal. So if you look where it says operating fee, you can go down that column and you'll see that ours is $1,000 per establishment location, but it's $500 per terminal. So we're already the highest, if you look, except for Tinley Park. And now the rest of mine was establish a 6-month waiting period. That's what we used to have. We changed it when I believe the truck stop came in, or Lenny's Gas and Wash. I think we waived the wait period. I think that was what we waived it for. I think we should go back to that, only because we want to make sure that the business is maintaining or standing on their own 2 feet without the gaming. So I don't want a business to come in just for gaming, and the only way to prove that is to have the 6-month wait period. I skipped a paragraph. It says, per our code, the village manager shall have the right to deny. Okay, so I know there was some concerns about who makes the decision on awarding a gaming license or not. It is always, from inception, I believe since 2000, well, ever since we allowed gaming, that the village manager had the right to deny a terminal operating license to an applicant. I think it should remain that way. That's mine. Who's next? Trustee Steilen.
Thank you. Okay, well, I agree with you on the wait period. So the number of terminals, I just think 6 is a lot of terminals, depending on.
Oh, can I correct something? It's six for restaurants, and truck stops are 10, just for clarification. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm absolutely opposed to gas stations and truck stops having terminals. And I think that they should be limited to adult-type establishments, such as a sports bar or a restaurant, and not in a family-style restaurant or a salon or any other place that might have. Because now we've just approved alcohol at a salon, so, but it did say in that ordinance that they couldn't have video gaming, I believe. Mm-hmm. So, also, controlling the number of licenses. I like that it comes to the board for us to decide whether we want more gaming or not. So I think there should be some type of a limit, and I don't know how you can set a number, but there's got to be a point when there's just too much. I was in Wisconsin. I've told a couple people this story back in, I don't know, October, and I met a gentleman who said, I said I was from Homer Glen, and he said, oh, that's the place with all the casinos. And because they don't have video gaming like we do here. And that was his impression. He came to Homer Glen, and every place he went to, he saw video gaming machines. And, I mean, they weren't casinos, and I don't want us to have that reputation. So I would like to see some kind of control and limits. And I thought of even increasing the square footage requirements so that the focus of the place isn't video gaming, it is actually a business serving food, more than just 1,500 square feet. I think that's about it.
You had to increase fees for each terminal beyond the $250 per year.
Well, and now I just realized we're at 500, so for some reason.
Okay.
So I'm all for increasing fees anyway, but I do see that we are the highest.
Okay. Trustee, or who's next? Trustee Reinders.
First off, I just have to say this one thing, because with all due respect to your committee, I respect you and your committee, but I do believe that it is the fiduciary responsibility of this board to determine what the the parameters should be for any one of the ordinances that we create in this village. I don't believe that it should be brought to a committee. I believe that it should be brought to this board. But with that said, so nothing against you or your committee. No, I'm just saying for anything, anything that has to do with our village ordinances or where they bring them to you for your committee to go over them, I think that that should strictly be this board that makes those decisions or changes to anything that has to do with our ordinances.
Well, we do that with tree ordinances and all sorts of ordinances.
I understand that, but I'm just saying for something as serious as this, I think this is something that really the board should really concentrate on. With that said, I basically agree a lot with what the mayor said. I too would like a waiting period, and I would like the waiting period increased to 1 year. And the reason that I say that is because I would really like a business to prove themselves to us that they are here to service the residents of this community, not just to get a gaming license. And right now it seems like that we have a lot of these smaller, I would say, bars or whatever you want to call them, and there's nobody in them. There is nobody in them, and basically all they're doing is gaming. For me, my personal opinion, I love the fact that we have the gas station with gaming in it, because I'm looking at it from a standpoint of there's constant movement within that gas station. A full-service gas station has constant use. There's people coming in to get a car wash. There's people coming in to buy something. There's people coming in to get gas. They're coming in for a sandwich, whatever. But it's constant use. They're generating revenue for our community. So if that's a place that's getting a lot of use, then I say, why not put gaming machines in there? Because let them use it and let them generate more revenue, because they have a constant turnover. There's people constantly coming in and out of there. So as far as a lot of these smaller establishments that we have within the village, we don't see that. We don't see them getting use. We don't see them. We see people just going in there just to sit there to gamble. And I just don't want our community to become like the capital of gaming. And I mean, that's what a lot of people are, a lot of people are referring to us, like Sue said, a lot of people are going down that road. So if we know that we have a business that's getting a lot of people coming in there and frequenting and buying stuff and using that facility all the time, I say, why not let them put gaming in there? Because then those people are also going to use that gaming. That's also going to generate additional revenue for us. We don't want revenue just generated by gambling machines. So that's kind of my thought. And then I think also we need to limit the number of gaming and licenses that we do give out. So that's just my opinion.
Thank you. Who's next? The twins, Mason and Naughton.
No, I'm next on the list.
Dan,
Oh, I'm going by this.
On this one, it's me.
Okay, I'm just going about what was in front of me.
And the twins.
Well, you're together.
I don't care either way.
Yeah, good.
Okay. One, I don't know if we have a sheet that you could bring up on here today of all the revenue each place brings in. Okay, perfect. And now everybody can take a look to see who brings in the most. What I'd like to say to Trustee Stalin, though, you said something about the hair salons. In that ordinance, it says right in there they cannot have gaming. Okay, so just to clear that up for the public, they can't get it anyway. I think our goal here is to make it so we don't have to change our village logo to Community of Gaming Machines in Harmony with Tobacco Shops. So I think that's why we're here, to put a little governor on this based on the comments that I've heard already. And some of my ideas, I'll start with this. As far as the gas stations, this isn't really clear, with my eyes anyway, for that small print, but the gas stations, it makes a lot of sense what Trustee Reiner said, there's a constant flow of people, and it isn't just people in the community, it's kind of that passive tax that's coming in from people all over the place that are getting gas. And that flow of people helps bring in that revenue, and it isn't just people from Homer Glen either that are paying towards, you know, the use of those machines that then trickles down to us. I think gas stations are an ideal place. Based on what you said, Trustee Reinders, I think that makes 100%, that makes all the sense in the world. So what I had thought we could do, though, is to put a governor on it, is to kind of, as the example, quarter off Homer Glen. If we put it into 4 sections and we come up with a guide and we say, okay, we can have 10 in this area, we can have 15 in this area, we can have 5, however we decide to do it, where we could take and we could have a total amount that we're going to allow in the village. And then if a business then gave up theirs or they closed, that would open it up for somebody else. That's one idea, and idea is always the easy part. I think that we need to have some type of governor on it, though. As far as a wait period, I think we should wait. That 6 months to a year is fine with me, whatever the board wants. I also believe that increasing the fee on the per machine makes a lot of sense, because a lot of money is being made on these machines. We are not bringing in as much money as we could with all those machines that are being put into the village. So I agree with increasing the terminal fees, and that would be for each terminal, not just a flat fee. That makes a lot of sense to me. And I don't know what the board thinks as far as what that fee would be, but I see in the next one it says from $500 to $1,500. I would support that 100%. What was the one thing? Oh, as far as prohibiting licensed gas stations, I already said that. I disagree. I don't think that's the right direction to go in. I would rather see, you know, that type of activity taking place in a gas station. So that's...
You have on here, I just want to keep to what the slideshow says, and then we'll have like more open discussion, but
Sure.
You have on here establishing a wait period.
Right.
You agree to that?
I do. I said that. Anywhere from 6 months to a year, I said.
Okay. Gina, can you flip to the next slide? And Trustee Mason and McNaughton, they're together because there was a conversation between all 3. Okay. So who wants to take the floor?
I'll start. I agree with Trustee Stylen, but Wisconsin does have pull tabs everywhere you go. I don't want to become a Reno, an Atlantic City, or even a mini Vegas. I agree. Again, I think we're all saying the same thing. I keep hearing it over and over. Gas stations and truck stops, I think, is a good place. I don't think children hang out there. I don't think that breakfast and lunch facilities, you know, like that. I think more of a sports bar. Increased terminal fees, I'm all for it. They're making a lot of money. I think we should get our tax dollars. Limit the number of businesses with gaming license, I'm all for it. Establishing a wait period, I think each and every one of us said it. Mr. McNaughton.
Hey, don't forget Wisconsin has the meat raffles everywhere you go as well. Yeah, you know, I take a capitalist approach to this, that you know, if we could get it to self-limit in some form, the $1,500 per machine per year still seems pretty low when you look at the profitability per machine. I am in favor of gas stations and truck stops, actually, for what Trustee Reinders had spoken to. I think that makes a lot of sense. Where it doesn't make a lot of sense is low square footage, where the intent is not to serve the people of Homer Glen, it's to remove them from their hard-earned money and take it outside of the township. That's where I have an issue with it. Outside of that, if we could come to an agreement to increase the fee per terminal, put in place a limit in the total number of machines for the village, I would be good with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, can you go back to the one that has the amounts collected? This one, go back one more, sorry. So we kind of, no, the amounts total collected.
The revenue.
The revenue one. Yes, this one. Okay, so there was a couple of questions, or a couple of ideas proposed. It sounds like majority of the board is in favor of a wait period, correct?
Okay. Could I speak on my thoughts? Even though I didn't give them?
That's what I was looking for. You didn't submit anything, or?
No, I didn't submit them.
Okay.
I think personally that we have too many machines, but when it comes to the gas stations, I don't have a problem with the gas stations having it. I see the amount of traffic at the ones that I frequent. It's pass-through. It's pass-through income for us. It's a no-brainer. As a mother of a small child, I don't like seeing it in restaurants. And we have very few here in Homer Glen where we can sit down and have a quiet meal, and my daughter doesn't have to sit there and watch somebody gambling. So I would prefer to stick with places like that rather than have places like, what is it, Dottie's, that's over there in your strip. I don't see the same traffic in there. We've had heists, armed robbery, so I'm not comfortable with bringing any more things like that into Homer Glen. And I also want to go back to something that, you know, former Mayor Yukich, I never thought I'd agree with him, but he used to say he didn't want us to look like Midlothian and Cicero Avenue. He said it over and over again. Just the one time when we approved, it was Lenny's gas station getting the machines. And look at the amount of revenue that it brought into our community. It's insane. I agree with Mayor Nechke-Trachey on the waiting period. However, I would prefer a waiting period of 24 months. I want to see that business be vested in our community and prove itself as to why we should be allowing any more gaming. I want a cap. I do agree that we should have an increase with the fees. I'm okay with the state's cap. I definitely do want to limit the number of machines, even more so. I want transparency. I would rather have it come before the board for approval than go to the village manager. I think our public deserves that. But I'm on board, again, with the majority of what everybody else is. It's just, we should stick, you know, like when we're seeing the comparables of what other towns around us, I would rather stay within that instead of being the one with the most of this. So there's a lot to consider going forward, but it sounds like a lot of us are on the same page for some things, so that's a good start.
All right, I want to clarify some confusion here. Gina, can you tell me who, so we got, I'm just looking at the profitability one right in front of you where it says Lenny's Gas and Wash, Gas and Wash is the number one, right? Well, number two is LaRocco Brothers, which is Sam's Gaming, I believe, correct? And then number three is, looks like Dottie's? Okay, so we're talking about gas stations, and then we're talking about the restaurants that we're saying we don't want to have gaming. So you're taking the gas station, yeah, it brings in what, roughly $3,000 more than LaRocco's, and where am I at? 23,000 or something more than, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong number. Yeah, no, because you got 92 and then 65. Is that the third place one, I guess you can call it? Yeah, 65. And that's Dottie's. So you guys are talking about getting rid of two of the, you know, the smaller restaurants, but does that make sense to me? Is that what you guys were saying, or no?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, you guys are okay with the Dottie's and the Sam's type restaurants? Okay, I thought so you said no.
What I said was that a lot of these.
I thought I heard it over here.
Breakfast place.
Okay. Okay. All right, so I guess what we can do from this point is just kind of go over the questions or the concerns and then kind of take a consensus of where we want to go. Wait periods seem to be one of the top things, so we all kind of agreed on a wait period, is that correct?
Can we come up with a number?
That's what we're coming up with next. So it was originally 6 months. I personally am good with 6 months. No, say what year, how many months you want. Trustee Stylen?
I actually like the year.
Okay, then say year. Mason?
6
months. A year, so we got 2, 6, 2 year.
Year.
3 year, 4 year.
There it is.
And you said 24 months. Okay, so it looks like majority said a year. Would you be okay with a year? Would you be okay with a year? Okay, I still like the 6 months, but it looks like we can all work together on the year. Gina, you're making notes, I assume, right? Okay. Moving on to number of machines. State statute says each location is allowed 6, truck stops are allowed 10. I heard that we want to limit the number of machines. Is that correct?
I don't believe so. I don't think we should limit. I think we
There was
should
some on this side.
make guidelines.
State statute.
State statute, state statute, state statute.
State statute.
State statute. Trustee Steinlen?
I don't want to see 10 machines in any location. That looks like a casino to me.
That's the gas station only.
Yeah,
just so you know.
I don't care.
Okay.
It just, I think it looks bad. It makes our village look trashy.
I agree, but I go with the state statute. So 10 machines at gas stations and 6 at regular, so we can agree on that. We've got fees. Current fees are $500 per machine, $3,000 per application?
1,000. So it's $500 per the
Oh,
machine.
yeah, 3,000 is a 500 machine. Yeah, 3,000,
$1,000 for the application fee.
Right, okay, so it's $1,000 for the application and $500 per machine. Let's talk about the application fee first. Was there any interest of increasing the application fee? Yes? 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 Yes, yes, and yes. It's already at 1,000. What do you, I feel like I feel like.
1,500.
That's what I feel like. 1,500, 2,000, so.
It's not $1,000 per machine.
No, it's 500 per machine.
It's
The application fee is 1,000.
So we're talking about per machine right now?
No, we're talking about per application.
Oh, application, okay. That's what I-
And that, just so you know, so the total fee for both is split between the business and the terminal operator.
Right.
That's fine. They got lots.
So,
Okay.
So,
For me,
application, mhm.
Are you asking me?
Yes.
For the application, I'm okay with the $1,000 that it is. When we get to the second part, per
Yes,
machine
we'll
per
get there.
year, that's different.
So trustee Reiner said 1,500, Fialko says 1,000. 15.
15.
15. 15. Yes, ma'am. Now we're talking about per terminal. It is currently $500 per terminal. Now just remember, we just increased it $500 on the application fee. Trustee Consolino, per machine? Trustee Fialko?
I think the conversation that I've had with other trustees, we think $1,500, I think $1,500 per machine per year.
Can you bring up that slide just so everyone can see? I just want to make sure that, and maybe you guys are all aware, but just making sure, just making sure. Not that one, this one. So if you just look, just before everyone says the number, I just want to make sure everyone's aware that ours is 500, but you kind of got it a little back and forth because then it says, oh, maybe I'm not. No. It's 100 per terminal, 250 per terminal, 150, 250, $25, and 600. We're going to go up to 1,500 when other towns are looking.
Because we're saturated.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Look at the profitability
Annual
of the
license
machines.
fee, operator fee. Which column are you looking at?
The fourth one, annual license fee.
Annual license.
Okay,
That's where I said, I think,
we're talking about.
no, but it is, I think that's why I said it seems flip-flopped, but if you
Right.
look in the column itself, if you look at Homer Glen, it says 500/terminal, that's $500 per terminal. So just go down the row and you'll see what it is per terminal. Gina, is that correct? Because the next one over, you have 125
right,
per terminal.
so the reason I put operator fee, so I'll give you an example. So if you have, like the owners of the machines, so they pay the annual operator fee. So for example, for Homer Glen, each operator, there is one company that has their machines in, I want to say, 4 businesses. So for each location, they pay $1,000 for each one. So that would be their operator fee. So then the annual license fee, which is also like the annual terminal fee for each machine, which usually the business owner pays for, would be the $500 per terminal. And it varies. So like if you look at.
So the second column, Romeoville, you're looking at a total of $375 collected to that specific town per machine.
Right, because everybody does it differently.
Okay.
So like even, right, so Romeoville, they charge $125 per terminal to the operator, where we only charge $1,000 per establishment. And then you have, for example, Lockport, they charge $2,500 per establishment, where we're only charging 1,000 per establishment.
But they also only charge 100 per terminal?
Correct.
Okay, so it's like flip-flop for us.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, so but if you look at this in the number total, are we the most expensive as it currently sits, as it is right now?
No.
Now, let Gina answer. She did this information. I mean, she, once upon a time, said we were the current most expensive, so I just want to clarify if we are or we're not.
I would say we're not the most expensive, but we're up there. I would think that, I can't remember which one I saw was more if you add it up, because you also have to look at each area with how many gaming machines that they have. I don't know if
It's more expensive, but not by much.
Okay, so
right. So I would say, yeah, so Tinley's a little bit more expensive than us, but not by much.
But everyone else were more expensive as it currently sits?
Correct.
Okay. So now if we go to what it sounds like $1,500 application fee, and it sounds like, I didn't get through everybody, but you said 2,000 a machine, you said 1,000 a machine?
I said 1,000 for the application fee.
Okay.
And then I agreed with the $1,500 per machine per year more.
Okay.
1,500
Per machine?
per machine.
Trustee Stylen?
How much per machine?
I would support Jen on this one, but I'd agree to 1,500 as well.
So you're 2,000 or 1,500. Trustee Mason?
I've talked with 5 of the 6 trustees on this topic. Ann came in and talked with Joe and Gina and Gia and several other people. But bottom line, Tinley's higher than us. They have 41 units or businesses with gaming. We have 16. We know the revenues that they're going to charge, so I am totally for increasing that to 1,500. I don't think it's going to go away. I think the 159 quarter is going to blow up anyway. If it keeps going the way it is, I'm going to buy a gas station.
Okay. Trustee McNaughton?
Yeah, if you look at the profitability per machine, I don't think that we're too high. I think everyone else is too low. It hasn't impacted the number of gaming machines in Tinley Park, so I'm in favor of $1,500 per terminal.
Okay. It looks like it's 1,500. For the record, I am not in favor of that. I just want to put that on the record. Okay. The next question is who approves gas stations. Let's go back to gas stations first. Let's get the easy stuff out of the way. Do we want to make gas stations, or truck stops? Let me clarify, truck stops. Do we want them at truck stops?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I'm still opposed. When we started getting video gaming, it was to help the restaurant owner. It wasn't to become a destination for gaming, and we weren't here to profit off of gaming as a municipality.
Brown's Chicken.
Okay, well, it looks like majority. So just so everyone knows, we're not voting on this tonight. This is just a consensus for Gina to bring it back so we can look at it as an overview. So consensus was for truck stops.
Yes.
Okay, so now who approves it? And I'm going to pause right there for a second because I want it to be clear, the mayor doesn't approve a gaming license. It's been the village manager. But here's where I think we can prevent a business owner from coming to a board meeting for their liquor and then coming back for gaming. I think if you guys made the parameters stricter, now can you go to the one where the square footage is? Okay, see where it says square footage? If you guys raise the square footage for the business or change the parameters for the business, we don't constantly have to have people come back to the board.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that.
Okay.
What are you saying, increase the square footage?
Yeah.
You're right, so.
What were you thinking, what's your idea to what?
Like 1,500.
It is 1,500.
It is
It's at
15.
It is 15?
1350 is the Dottie's, which was
Right.
pre-approved a while ago, so
Right.
it's 1,500 now. So what I'm just saying is, we're looking at Brown's Chicken, right? It's 1,800. Brown's Chicken, I personally don't think should have gaming.
Agreed.
So to avoid a little shop like that to be able to have gaming, change it to 2,000 or 2,500 or whatever the number it is you want. So this way, you have it in different places. I mean, how are you going to say, this is the question I'm going to propose to you. If you have a restaurant that comes in that's 2,500, it's 1,500 square feet right now. But if you have a restaurant come and say it's 2,500, regardless if it comes to the board or not, how do you tell one person no and another person yes? You explain that one on your
Yes.
areas, but for the rest of the board, I guess is my question. If you don't go along with Fialko's quadrant theory, how do you do that?
I don't think his idea is bad, but I think yours is actually good too. If you increase the square footage, then they're not coming in front of us all the time. We don't have to worry about a brown chicken getting their hands on it.
Right.
Why not both? Yeah, I'm not opposed. Maybe that square footage is 2,000 square feet, and then we get serious people that want to come in and open up restaurants.
My theory on that is the village manager has always done it. There's no reason to bring it to the board, this is my opinion. Because if we're already approving to get them a liquor license and they're abiding by the rules, which by the way, what is the state code for it to come to the board? Again, can you review the state code? So I believe it's the board approves increasing or decreasing.
For the liquor or the gaming?
Liquor.
Okay.
Start with that one first.
So the state statute for liquor is that the liquor commissioner approves or denies the liquor license application. If the liquor commissioner decides to deny the application, then the applicant can appear before the board for a hearing in regards to the denial.
And the board does what? They increase the numbers.
Correct. The board increases the number of liquor licenses. They can increase it by one, but they do not approve
the license itself.
Right, the application, unless...
Yeah, so for me personally, I think it only is fair to the board, if they're going to increase something, they need to know what they're increasing it for. So I would never want an applicant to come to me and say, I want a liquor license, and then just bring you guys information and go in blind. So I think it's important for you guys to have the information of what business it is that is asking for the increase. I don't want that decision to be made solely by the mayor, that is the state statute, but that's why it is brought to the board for the increase of the liquor license in itself. But gaming, if you are approving a liquor license for an establishment, and they've already been through the process, I think it's only fair to allow the village manager to make the approval. That's my opinion. Trustee Fialko, you had your hand raised.
I think that what you talked about, raising the square footage is fine. You asked about the liquor license, you didn't ask about the...
Oh, what's the gaming? Sorry, you're right.
You didn't ask about gaming, you just got talking about liquor. So could she finish that?
Sure. What's the gaming?
Thank you, Gina.
No, that's right. So with gaming, it's usually the liquor commissioner that approves or denies the gaming license. Currently.
For the state.
For the state. But per our ordinance, it's the village manager.
Okay.
So thank you for clarifying that for me.
Okay, I think that we have a board for a reason. Just like with liquor licenses, we increase it by one and we approve it. The same thing, I think this is why we're here. I believe this is what led us to going back to this gaming license and those concerns, that the board had no control over the gaming licenses. Now, I agree with coming up with the square footage, the quadrant, have a certain amount of gaming licenses available within the village, but the board should do the same thing, just like we're doing with the liquor license. We should increase it by one, or when somebody closes, we decrease it by one, but have a cap on it, and it should go to this board. This is what we're trying to control. I have no problem. There's been many village managers, but the thing is, I think this board has seen that as a problem, that the board needs to have more control over that based on this oversaturation that we see kind of happening, or at least it heading in that direction with gaming. And I think it's this board's responsibility to take that under our wing and make that approval just like we do with the liquor license. Yes, and then it goes, it then goes to you, to the liquor commissioner to approve it. So as far as us, then if you want a second part of that, I could understand that. But I think the first step should be by this board saying, yes, we agree, it's not oversaturated here, and that seems like a business it fits for. And then you know, then it could go to, I think it should end up going to you then, just like the liquor license. And then based on the board's recommendation, then you would approve the gaming license. And then everybody's working together on our gaming issue that we have at hand right now.
So can I ask you a question to follow up on that, though? Sure. So if a business came in and they paid their $1,500, which we just increased it to, and they paid their $1,500 per machine, and they pass whatever square footage you pick, the only reason you would deny them is because of their location?
Nope. Based on a number that we set, square footage, and we said...
But I'm saying if they pass the square footage, so if you set it to 2,000 and they have 2,000 square feet, they're willing to pay all their fees.
They wouldn't be going, they should have to come to the board first.
But my question to you, I'm asking you a question. If they pass the square footage, paid their fees, they passed their background check like they did for the liquor.
Their equipment, their type of restaurant they are, that's what we run into, their type of food service that they do.
But if they they come up with the menu, right, that they're supposed to, like every other business, what reason would you have to deny them?
Based on the number that we have. We talked about it. Not only square footage, we talked about having a limit of a certain amount within the village of gaming license.
Well, that would be an ordinance. That would be in an ordinance
The
then.
number is that we would come up with, and then I'd like to know the total that we have now, and then we could work off of that. And taking the village and put it into quadrants, that idea, we could incorporate that, but this puts a little bit of a governor on it and gives to me, this board should be making decisions that big, and no offense to whoever the village manager would be, I don't think because you get the liquor license, you should just automatically, oh, you've got 2,000 square feet, okay, village manager, give your gaming license. No, it should come to this board, and this board should have every bit of input to increasing gaming.
Okay, so we have 16 establishments that have gaming. So again, my question to you, which you haven't answered yet, is if they passed all of everything, so we have 16 right now, and let's just say you want to put a limit on 20, and there's 4 spots available, and somebody comes through as number 17, and they pass the square footage, they pass the background, they pass everything that we say, you still want it to come to the board? Just
I would say yes.
For what reason, though?
Why do you do it for a liquor license? For the same reason.
You don't, but here's the thing. No.
Yeah, you do.
Excuse me, I'm not done talking. You guys are, your vote is to increase or decrease. It doesn't have to come to the board per state statute. We do it because I want you to be informed of a liquor license.
That's our ordinance calls for it.
Does our ordinance call for that?
If you look at the liquor code, no, currently it just calls for the board to increase the license, but per our ordinance, the liquor commissioner approves or denies the application.
Right, so it would be...
Per the state statute.
So no one's saying we would deny it. If we, like if you said that we had 17 and there would be 20, we would say yes, and then you would then approve I think that we belong in that process, though, instead of leaving us out. And then it would go to you in the end.
Well, it doesn't matter if it goes to me, if you guys vote for it anyways. What, am I going to overturn your vote? I mean,
Sue wants to say something, and then I would.
I have a question. So we impose a 1-year waiting period. And so now this person comes for their gaming license. So what is the criteria, like what happens? They've had bar fights or something?
No, it's they have to,
how do we decide that 1 year?
They have to show, what's the number they have to show?
They're financially.
Isn't there some rule on their food?
Revenue?
Percentage of the food to gaming revenues.
Okay, so that's all, that's the only requirement for the year, okay.
And it could be square footage, and it could be whatever.
Well, that's my point, is to not have these businesses keep coming back.
Right.
Set the parameters and move on. But that's my opinion. Obviously, it doesn't
I agree
matter.
with you, Madam Mayor. We could set the parameters. We could set the parameters, and, you know, based on what we've all discussed here tonight, if we're going to go ahead and raise it to this and give it the square footage of that, do we really want to drill these down into 4- and 5-hour meetings if all the parameters have been set and they meet that criteria? At that point, you're right, it doesn't need to, because at that point, you can be passing that.
If they came to you and they were If the ordinance, it's 1,500 now, but if we changed it to 2,000 and they're at 1,980, they don't pass, and Joe can bring it to you and say, look, do you guys want to or not? Technically, I can say no, don't bring it to the board, but if I said let the board decide, then it can decide. But I think if we put all these parameters, which are very strict, by the way, I think, then there's no reason to have to come back to the board, my opinion.
I disagree. I would prefer that it come back before the board, simply for the fact that this way, just like how the public goes, or they have their chance at planning commission, they have their chance to voice where it's going. If they feel it's too saturated, I would prefer that we give our residents a right to speak. That's my opinion. I do think that we are overly saturated, and I do recall that during COVID, a lot more places put them in because businesses were hurting, restaurants were hurting, the gas stations were hurting, people weren't driving. So there were considerations that we gave for opening up a little bit because businesses were hurting. Well, now we're looking at inflation, but now we're also looking at we're getting overly saturated. That's just my opinion, like you're giving yours. So therefore, I think it's better off to bring it before the board where, we can listen to the public. They have an opinion. We can hear them. We can maybe take that into consideration. Or like what Sue and Mason were talking about, what if they're sitting there, what if something has gone on? Do you know what I mean? Like, what if, okay, yes, they've met the parameters that we set and, they're willing to pay the fees, but what if there's been things that have occurred in that business? And then it happens, unfortunately.
Anything.
We're here, like we're looking Founders Crossing. You have several over there already. Do we want to just have an entire row of machines? So as the vision changes and the demographic changes for our community, I think that the board should have a voice in it, and I think so should the residents. So that's why I wanted to come before the board.
Well, not everyone has spoke yet. Trustee Reiner still needs to speak.
Okay. Well, I actually think that it should come to the board, and my reasoning for that is because as a business, you have inspections when you have food, and if you walk into some of these areas within the village, you're not going to tell me that they're selling 60% food there. I would bet my last dollar on it.
We get a report, just so you know, from the state of what they sell, correct? No. I thought there was a report that we get.
I didn't read that in the statute that they had to report it. I think it was up to the village to determine whether or not, if they're meeting that criteria. So that's my reasoning for wanting to come back to the board, so that in the event that there was any violations, were there any health code violations? Was there anything that happened throughout the year? Were they shut down for any reason? I mean, there could be a number of things, but I think that before we actually go ahead and give them a gaming license, that we should really just review what their year in business was like. And I'm not saying that we're trying to, we're not trying to not give them a license, but I just think that a review of what their year was like, what they've done for the village, how, what they're generating in sales tax, if their business is successful. If the business is not successful, then we know the only reason they're here is because they want gaming. And that's just that's my thoughts.
Trustee McNaughton.
I understand your point. You could, based on the profitability of these machines, you could essentially set up a ghost kitchen.
Yeah.
So I understand that concern as well. My other thoughts are, it's like building a property. If you stick within the zoning, within the ordinances, you don't have to come to the board for it to be approved because you're within. But again, this is a different environment. We're talking about gaming. I think we have about 90 machines at a rough count. We could increase that. But I think I am leaning more towards, we have a timeline, we increase the square footage, we've increased the fees, the application fee. We said we want them to wait a year, I think, to come back. It's a pretty laborious process for anyone, even at that point. I guess the only thought from what you were saying, Trustee Reinders, is they get to the year, they don't get the gaming, are they going to just pack up and disappear? They have a lease, on their business. And then do we run the risk of that business closing down,
Well, we've seen a lot of businesses move out in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
We've seen that.
That's my concern with that
Yeah, we've
approach.
seen, and we can't control that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We can't control it. All I'm saying is just to review, before we hand them that gaming license, to review what their year in business has been like.
So I do have a question to go back. So if we're going to do a year, I'm not trying to change anyone's mind, but if you're making a point there, if their lease is a year, maybe you do like a 9-10 month review, so it gives them a chance. We don't want to hold them in a
Right.
spot if they can't.
Well, and to be honest with you, yeah, I agree, but I will tell you right now, there's not one landlord at Homer Glen that will give you a 1-year lease. They won't do it. They will not do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But there is some time your lease expires though, Rose.
Pardon?
There will be that period where the lease
Oh, no,
expires.
absolutely, but I'm
And
just saying
you're right, though, because now it does come to that 1 year, though, at the end of it,
Yeah.
whether they're going to stay or not. So I
That's my concern.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my concern.
And that comes out as far as leases go to negotiations regardless of.
Right, and most of our retail areas in Homer Glen require more than a year's lease. They won't even sign you on for a year because it's not profitable for them, because they know that you could just pick up and leave at any time. And what are they going to do to you? You have a year lease. So, I mean, just from my experience as owning a business in Homer Glen, I just think that we should do some type of review, even if we say, okay, we put all these, we increase all these fees, we increase everything, then there should be maybe a checklist that Joe goes through before at that 10-month or 11-month period to make sure that they were living up to.
You mean like a certificate of occupancy for a home, for example?
Right. You know what I mean? So.
And then it doesn't come before the board.
Right, and then it doesn't come before the board. If everything seems to be okay on the up and up, then
I can
we're
see
okay.
that. Joe, I'm just, again, speaking, if they check all the boxes, they've got everything, you give it to them.
Yeah, bring
And
it
then if there is questions or concerns, you can say, hey, you gotta, the board's, if you got questions, they gotta come to the
I
board.
think that'd be probably a good way to do it. Just make sure, like we do with any type of occupancy, we check all the boxes. It's currently what we've been doing with these establishments now, is that they meet the requirements as a restaurant. The one thing you really can't look at if we wait the year to give them the gaming ability is the percentage of food and beverage, because all they're doing is food. They don't have
Yeah,
a
that's true.
percentage for gaming.
But at least
So that's something that's going to be out of the picture. I was kind of thinking that, they're not going to have the gaming percentage at that point because all they're doing is food.
Well, we never know that when anybody starts.
I swore.
That could be a condition that we do on an annual basis, though, is that we get those numbers to make sure that they are meeting that criteria for the percentage of food and beverage and gaming, that they're meeting that 60-40 number. That could be something to consider, too.
Do you mind if Janie touches base on something? She had stated something or raised her hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, I think what's in our code right now, and I'm looking for it, is that we have the ability to audit existing licensees if the village has any reason or wants to check in, and that's where that 60-40
Maybe that's what I saw.
would be checked. So it's not for someone coming in, but it's for someone that already has a license to ensure that they're still meeting that requirement. And I think, Gina, doesn't one community actually require you on the annual basis to show that you meet that? I mean, it's really raising the bar. They have to produce financial information to do that.
So I believe it was Tinley Park, and Tinley Park has the 12-month waiting period, and they also have board approval. And when I spoke to the clerk there, because I asked her, how does that work exactly? So she said, once somebody is approved for a liquor license, they have to wait the 12 months, but it is clarified to them at that time that just because they get the liquor license, they're not guaranteed the video gaming license until they they have to show that they're meeting those requirements after that 12 months.
How many of the comparables do board approval and how many do?
So it was Tinley Park and the other one was Lamont, but I reached out
That do board approval?
That do board.
And then who approves the rest? The rest of the towns?
The liquor commissioner. and one was the city attorney with the liquor commissioner.
Okay, so we talked about, I just want to go back because we said 1 year wait. Does anybody want to go change it to 9, 10 months?
I'm for 2 years.
That's right.
I'm good with the year.
I'm good with a year.
Year.
9
Yeah.
sounds logical, but sure, 9 to 12, yeah.
Okay, so we'll leave that as year. So let's just, does everyone speak on this last discussion, or not last, but this previous one? What do you feel about who, how, what? I guess the question. Board?
Board approval.
Board approval.
Manager.
Manager, liquor license commissioner, whatever. As long as they follow the ordinance or follow what's in place.
Well, we're going to have a cap.
I guess. We haven't really.
got to that.
We haven't gotten that far yet.
That's what my board of.
Can we come back to this?
Because I would say board approval unless we have some kind of a cap that, and then what's to control, I still don't know what's to control like 5 places in one shopping mall having. That's my concern. Like
So you can always do this, it's just kind of something like what Trustee Reiner said. If they check all the boxes, the year review comes, the village manager says, hey board, let's just say Dottie's is new, right? They've been here a year. This is all the boxes that they check. Are we good? And if he says yes, he can give the license. If there's concerns, and he shows you, I don't know if they can get police reports, but any like bar fights or anything of robberies or anything like that, and then you can also provide information like, hey, this strip mall has 2 gaming machine areas or 2 gaming locations already. Give like the information, and if the board feels that they need to come, this applicant needs to come to the board, I'm probably not explaining this right because I'm thinking it through my head, but this needs to come before the board. The board is requesting that you come before them. Can we do something like that?
Can I just say though, that I want to wait till
Bert and Ernie are done talking.
because I don't want them to miss it.
Trustees, do you mind if Fiocco finishes? Sorry.
No, all I want to say is it makes sense that we let the public give public comment as to the environment that they're living in when it comes to gaming. And by it not coming to the board, you take that element away, as Trustee Castellino said. I think the community should have input at that time. I think this is why we're back here today. Sue, you said you're undecided yet, and I hope that helps, because I really do believe the public should have an input at that point where they can express the way they feel. Just like I believe we're here today because you had concerns about gaming, and this is why it got put in abeyance right now, and we're discussing it. So I think leaving the public out of the big picture is a mistake. I understand kind of the way we did it before, and kind of makes sense if you only look at the tree. But if you look at the forest and how it affects the whole community, for the community to be able to have their input as to what's going on in their community with gaming, I think that is why we're here. The concern is we were being oversaturated. So, okay, we've done good up to this point, but leaving the community out of putting input into their, or giving their opinion as to whether they want something, I think we remove that somewhat if we don't bring it to the board. That would be my opinion.
Well, either way you look at it, regardless of which way Sue goes, you've got 3 that say village manager, and you got 3 that says the board. No, I'm 3. So I would still like a further discussion because I don't want it to be split. I would rather have, the board agree on at least something. Negotiate something where you can feel comfortable with both sides. Just like I said with the park, I don't want it to be split down the middle. I'd rather both sides feel comfortable with what is being said.
Can we do this? My quadrant idea.
Yeah.
Can I go back to that? If we can take all these places, divide Homer Glen into 4 squares, and put the dots where they're at and bring it back to us, so we can see how many are in each quadrant of Homer Glen. And obviously we know they're going to be towards 143rd and Bell. That's my guess for the most part. But If we could have that and we could set a cap with numbers, I'd be good with that.
Attorney O'Grady just said something which...
We have a slide right now.
I think if, to help further your discussion, I would say that what I've seen in other communities, if you require the board approval, then your square footage issue, your location issue, not your quadrant issue, but it's kind of can get addressed at that time. So if you have another bar trying to come into a strip mall that has 2 or 3, then the board can say, no, that's saturated there, or they're on 159th, or there's another one on 143rd, or on Bell. Then that you can say, what's the location, how big is it? I'll just stop there. But the point is if you bring it to the board to increase the license or to grant the gaming license, and then there can be a report from staff about the 60/40 and the revenue, then you can say, well, where's it going? How many are there? What's the location? What's your square footage? And then you can address everything that we're talking about at that time.
But we don't have an approval.
Right, I'm saying that eliminates the quadrant idea, that eliminates the square footage idea. You just take that up when they come to the board for the gaming license.
What I'm saying is they don't already come to the board to increase the gaming. We don't have that.
Right.
So you're saying to bring it to the board to increase.
And that kind of helps address the square footage, the quadrant, the saturation. And then we can bring it up and maybe a place goes out of business. You can address it in real time. And I think it kind of addresses a lot of those issues.
Mason?
I think the community has already spoken, and I think we agree with them. I think that's why we've upped the fees, the square footage, everything that we can think of across the board here. I think as Paul just stated, if you have a saturated area or market, and this may lean back to yours, Nan, your quadrant, I mean, Trustee Fiocco, but a strip mall maybe should only have 2 in there or something like that, maybe. And that's, and now you're starting to push, because if you start, I don't want it to look like Las Vegas or Nevada or whatever the case may be. But I guess it's, to me, if it's all written and they follow the rules, and we've heard the people, and we all feel the same way that our relatives and neighbors and friends and constituents feel, I think if they're following all the guidelines, it is what it is.
We're not giving, is that okay if I say? We're not giving the community any input at that point. You said we're giving it now, but we're not giving it at the time. So if somebody comes into the village and they want to put in another gambling establishment, they would address it at that time, because it's going to be on our agenda and it's coming to the board. I see what you're saying. Yeah, we're working for the community right now and making these changes, but I'm saying on an individual basis, it should come to the board and let the community have their input at that time if there's a new gaming place coming in. And I believe what the attorney just said, it's better to bring it to the board. If I'm understood him correctly, then you can dissect those things without having a quadrant, and you can work it from there, but you're still bringing it to the board. And I agree with that.
I just want to point out on the gaming licenses by address that Janie, I think, was going to touch on. If you look at this, if you look at the locations, I mean, if you look at like you take Enzo's and Mug Shots, they're probably the 2 closest, and I don't think that's saturated. I think that's 2.
Oh.
That's 2 in an area. That's probably the 2 closest ones. I mean, I heard Pepe's and Pelicans. They're so far from each other. And Front Row, but they're still so far enough away from each other. They're different establishments.
They're still kind of really in that one retail center.
I think they're far enough away, but that's, again, my opinion. Okay, so we were going through a consensus here. Trustee Consolino, Trustee Fiocco, and Trustee Renger said bring it to the board.
I'm saying bringing it to the board.
Trustee Mason and Trustee McNaughton are you okay with bringing it to the board, or are you not?
Sure. I'm not okay with it, yeah. Sure. Yeah, I was preferring more of an ordinance approach going to the village manager. I'm not opposed to the board. Yeah. Not opposed.
Okay. Gina? Yes. Okay. We were talking about square footage changes. It's currently 1,500 square feet, but as the attorney had pointed out, all of these now restrictions that we're putting on,
Go away.
do we really need anything more than 1,500 at this moment?
Yes.
Okay, then Rosie, what would you like to have? Trustee Reiner?
2,000.
2,000 square feet?
2,000.
Concur.
Minimum 2,000.
Trustee Cancelino?
What's your reasoning on the 2,000, guys?
Because most of the spaces, because this way it would, I'm sorry. This way it would weed out the small pop-up places, like maybe like a small Pops or a small hot dog
saying they'd be
stand,
more
or like
invested.
a Brown's Chicken or something like that. So
Can you
that
go
would-
back to the profitability one?
I think that would weed that out.
Oh, there it is. Oh, nope,
That
go
could be
back.
plausible.
But you're also talking about two right here that are very small. They bring in second and third place.
We're talking about moving forward.
So that's a good way of saying it, yes. I'm okay, yeah, I'm reading between the lines on this one,
I like
yes.
moving forward with integrity.
I think 2,000.
I say moving forward.
Okay, so just to recap here, to look at the square footage on this, they were talking about raising it to all 2,000? Jennifer, or Trustee Cancelino, you didn't say 2,000?
Yeah, these guys are all grandfathered in, it's no big deal.
Yeah, but if they sell it, that doesn't mean grandfather. So remember that. It's going to be harder for
How
them
does
to
it work with
sell.
the tobacco licenses?
If they don't change the business name and just change ownership, they get to keep it, correct?
So
They still have to, we haven't talked about tobacco, which I want to touch base a little on, but
Maybe we could have the same apply, so that way it doesn't continue to hurt the next business that comes in, but yeah, I'll stick with the 2.
Trustee McNaughton, what's the square footage you would like?
Yeah, I think 2,000 is fine. You know, there's only 2 current, they would be grandfathered, I get it, but is that going to eliminate a whole lot of people at 2,000? I don't know. 2,000's fine, though. Yeah.
I will say, I know that this question was brought up about, I forgot the name of the place, but it's something in gaming that don't have gaming right now. Nikki's Pub and Gaming, Nikki's and Gaming. Nikki's Gaming, I don't know what it's called, but that place was how many square feet?
1,800.
1,800.
1,800. But we just got done briefly talking about grandfathering. And if we change it to 2,000, are they really grandfathered? Because they don't have a gaming license currently, they only have a liquor license.
But before we changed it, that would apply.
They apply.
to the old
Okay, but
rules.
are they grandfathered into the board approval?
I would say-
Pre-board approval then too? All the rules apply prior to?
Mayor,
Yes.
I did look into that because they submitted that application and everything in prior. This would not affect them in getting.
Okay, so that would also follow suit with like the breakfast place, Blueberry Hill?
Blueberry Hill never submitted an application for gaming.
Did Nikki's Pub?
Yes.
Oh, so, okay, so Taza, Blueberry Hill, any other place does not get grandfathered in if they did not apply.
Correct. And I also want to note that the renewals for the gaming licenses are at the beginning of the year. So these fees for, that would be changed, it would affect the current businesses for the following year because they've already submitted their renewals for 2024.
Okay, I just want clarification, that's all. So for like Old Oak Country Club and Ruby Agave, I believe, came in and got 3 more machines, right? So they're at 6?
They're at 6, correct.
Okay, but Old Oak Country Club, if they wanted to get 2 more, are they grandfathered in?
So I would think that would work differently as far as the fees if they wanted to, and I would have to verify with the attorney, but I would think that if one of the, well, who's that? They're all, right, so if Old Oak came in and wanted 2 more machines after this ordinance passed, I would think that they would be held to
The new rules.
fee, correct.
Okay, so we talked about 2,000 square foot. Are you good with 2,000? You good with 2,000?
2,000 square feet?
Let me get to Sue first. Go ahead. No, I was talking to Melissa, sorry. Trustee Mason, go ahead.
2,000 square feet is, sounds like it's unanimous, but we can't penalize people that are already in business that we've already granted, so we'd have to grandfather. So I think it's everything that opens up. If something is established and it sells or changes the name or ownership, new business.
Yep.
Wait a minute, though. There's clarification on that. Because just for example, Davidson's just sold, but kept the name, but new owners. So if they were to fall under this situation, we would have to, what you're saying, that they would have to reapply?
Yeah.
Because there's so many more layers to this than...
So Davidson's is a little different, because with Davidson's, and I forget the terminology, but I also discussed it with the attorney, because they actually bought
the corporation.
They bought the assets, the debt, everything. So
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just clarifying for a comment that was made that can't happen because it's not new. It's rolling over.
Yeah.
So if it changes business names and ownership, yes, that's a whole new thing. But if they keep the business name, or if it's the same owner for a new business, like changing, they don't need to come before the board, right?
Could I?
They should.
Could I ask one question with that? The state statute, how does the state statute apply to that change of ownership, change of business? Do they have to, this is something I don't know, do they have to reapply, or can they transfer that same gambling machines to that new business? And maybe legal should step in on this, I don't know.
to my knowledge, they can't, but now see, if a company or if somebody buys a business and they're changing the corporation name and they're changing the business, then yes, they would have to reapply and come before the board. With Davidson's, it was a different situation because they bought the corporation name, the assets, the debt, and the attorney would have to, could probably elaborate more on that one.
Fine with that then. Reapply.
Yeah, reapply.
I would just say, Trustee Fialco, that, these things are governed by the gaming board, and so, of course, it's a highly, highly regulated industry due to the nature of gaming. And so when these things go to the gaming board, of course they're reapplying, because they want to know who's going to be, who has a gaming license in our state and who's operating those places, right? So, that's, right, I mean, so that is what's happening at that level. Now, what we do at our level is completely different, right? How we handle it. And so when we see, and it gets very fact specific, and I think touched on it, is, when they're closing a business and somebody's reopening the business, or somebody's buying out one of their partners, that's not really a change of ownership. I'm buying out my partner, I'm retiring. But when a new group is coming in, we have to look at that and see what's going on, and that's when it gets specific. We see it on the real estate side, an analogy of they don't want to pay local transfer stamps, property stamps, transfer stamps, so they do the asset sale, purchase sale agreement of the assets of the corporation, and there is no new owner because the ownership didn't change per se underneath state statute. So it gets really complicated when we get into the weeds on that.
Yeah,
so, if your question is, every time that somebody does a asset purchase agreement, should they come in? That's a policy decision, for the village. Really, it really is. Some villages say that's fine. Some villages say, you know what, we want them to come and reapply. Then it triggers the question: is it a new company? Are they back into the waiting period? Those type of things. So it gets very complex when you start looking into the ownerships.
So can I give you an example, just a question?
Yeah.
We're going to use Davis as an example. If they did this same business name, but new owners, and we had these new rules apply, would they then have to come back in front of the board to get approved for a gaming license and pay for all the fees and pay for the application and the terminals again, or how does that work?
And I think, Gina, you talked to Mike Carroll on that, right? And I think our answer was no.
Correct, and
No.
his answer was no, which is what I had told them, because...
So just so the board knows, that's how that works, right? So does everyone understand? So, okay, let's just use Davidson's as an example, okay? If Davidson's came, we passed these new rules, we passed the new fees, we passed the new everything. If they were to, Davidson stayed the same building, same name, same business, same terminal, same liquor license, not same license, but same everything, same concept. But Peter and Paul sold to John and Mary. Peter and Paul does not have to come before the board and say, I'd like a license, I would like to repay these fees, because that was already done and it was transferred with the assets of the business.
But my
Go ahead.
question would be, if the state makes you, the state will not let you transfer.
It's not transferring the license. They will still apply with the state, and the state will, they still apply with us. They still go through our background, like, so the liquor license isn't transferred, like, here's my license, you get to keep it. They have to apply for a new license, but they don't have to come before the board, and they don't have to come before the board to get a gaming license either. It's just, they just reapply. There's no board approval, no nothing, because the reason being is because the board increases, is supposed to, by state code, only increases or decreases. They don't approve that liquor license per the business. And that's why. So it's just, all right, we still have one. It's still the same one allotted to this location.
And if we've...
No, I understand that portion of it.
Right.
My question is this, when they go to the state, is the state gonna look at them as an existing business, an existing corporation, or are they gonna look at them as a new business? Only because of the fact that I know the state does not allow you to transfer.
No, it doesn't transfer.
Won't let you
Yeah.
transfer your gambling machine. So my point is, if the state statute is not gonna allow you to transfer, even if it's an asset sale, you're selling the business, you're taking the corporation.
You personally still have to pass the background.
Right, you have to pass the background, but the state is going to make you reapply
Yes,
for
you do.
every single thing. So if the state is gonna make you apply, why shouldn't the village make you?
We make them apply with paper and run the background check and everything else, but we don't make them pay the fee and we don't make them come before the board.
And I think that's because we've already pre-approved that business at some point.
Because you're not approving the person, you're approving the business.
And that business is already being approved.
I know, I still.
Paul's getting ready to explain.
I think you got it. It's a loophole, and that comes up in these types of discussions, right?
Can we
Because I will say this.
accept, so there's no loophole?
That's why I'm saying there's more layers to all of this.
And can we eventually look into that and fix that loophole?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so here with the Illinois Department of Revenue, if you are a business.
Put your microphone.
I'm sorry. If you are a business, the Illinois Department of Revenue, and you say, okay, I'm selling my business to my cousin Joey, all right? The Illinois Department of Revenue says, I don't give a who you're selling it, sorry. I don't care.
Okay.
Perfect.
I don't care who you're selling your business to. There are back taxes that are owed on there. We're looking up the record. There's back sales tax that are owed on there. You're not getting a liquor license. You're not getting anything until all of that is sold. I don't care if you're the mother, the brother, the sister, the uncle, whoever. They will not allow you to apply for a liquor license until everything is paid and you could show proof that you are a separate corporation, because now what the Illinois Department of Revenue is doing, and I know I'm not supposed to talk about liquor licenses, but I'm just using that as an example. They go by the address. So that if there is anything owed on that address, they will not issue you another license.
Right, and then if they don't, then they don't get one.
Right, but I'm just saying that, we're not checking anything when we transfer, when somebody comes in and buys a business.
But we don't do that even if it was a new business. We don't say, is there back taxes due on a new business?
No, I know
Yeah.
that. All I'm saying is that if we're just gonna let somebody just transfer a business over and we don't follow up with it
They are reapplying.
They are reapplying, yeah.
They are coming through for
Yeah.
approval.
Right.
They're just not paying the fees.
They're not,
Right.
yeah.
So Paul said that we can address this loophole at a later date.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to do some research on it. I mean, it's complicated, right?
Yeah, it is.
Don't complain about
lots
the
of
legal
layers.
bills then.
Yeah.
Some stuff, yes.
You're always welcome
Okay.
to complain about my bill.
This meeting is taking longer than I thought.
Was going good.
It was going good. Okay, so I forgot even what the question was. Were we on square footage?
The consent,
If they have to pay the fees.
That was like a.
If they're grandfathered in, and then but if they come in, if Old Oak comes in and tries to add 2 machines now and puts their
Oh, yeah.
application in, they will not have to pay the new fee. If they come in after the passage of the new ordinance, they will have to pay the new fee.
I'm for grandfather.
And could I also get clarification too? So if even a current business, after this is passed, decides that they want to add additional machines, do you want them to come before the board for approval on that? Or no, because we're just doing the 6 limit? So as long as they're in that 6 limit, they just pay the additional fees?
So if they're increasing their machines, they just come in and get into the village and increase it. They don't come back to the board.
Right, I agree.
Okay, what if a business doesn't have machines, let's just say Taza doesn't have machines, but Taza realizes, wow, I can make all this money, and comes in and wants to get 6 machines,
I got to pay the fee.
we have to pay by the new approval, she's not grandfathered in. Okay,
Unless the application's in before we pass the new ordinance.
okay.
And she's going to have to blow out that square footage. Just kidding.
Okay, so we talked about number of machines, who approves, talked about fees, board approval, gas stations, time period. Did I miss anything? Is there anything anybody else? Oh, Janie?
Just sort of related to the conversation we just had, and Trustee Stylen brought this up as her first point. Can you put it, Trustee Stylen's slide?
Oh, number.
Because it's on section 8349. This has to do with video gaming cafes, which are prohibited, but we do have one grandfathered operation, which is Dottie's. And if you look in 8349, I think it's down 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th line down.
Wait, we're 8349.
Yeah, it's in the actual ordinance, the gaming ordinance. So in your supplement sheet, it would be I guess the second page,
Halfway down.
section 8349, and halfway down that paragraph. And there is a provision in there right now, any legal nonconforming establishments that may be sold may continue to operate as legal nonconforming video gaming cafe, provided that the establishment cannot expand or relocate. And then it goes on to, the Village of Homer Glen reserves the right to audit. And that's where that audit opportunity comes in. Let's see here. There was something else in there. Hold on a second.
Okay, well, those are good, right? We agree to that? We agree to
I
keep
think
that?
that's a question is if you want to grandfather them in under the current ownership, but do you want to grandfather them in if they sell?
Right, that's it.
That's a different question, right?
Right.
So if they were to come in and say,
I would
I'm
say,
transferring to John and
There
Mary.
is, yeah.
I would
And
say
they
you
come in and
have-
reapply and you say, wait a minute, they were grandfathered, you're new.
But that would make it so much harder for, like, if Dottie's ever wanted, I'm just using Dottie's as an example, but we
there's no
don't grandfather the new people in, that's going to make it impossible for them to sell.
Correct. I think she's just pointing that out.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
You were just pointing that out, correct?
Right, I mean, right now, they have the right to sell, and it could continue to operate.
Right, and my concern was that, because that's my point, is that, you know, in the year 2060, Dottie's could still be there. And, you know, you might not like that type of business, and now you've just granted them that right to be that business. Yes, for perpetuity. And
I get it.
And
But you're,
yeah, and that,
Loophole.
you know, that's what.
man, you
that's
guys
what
are
we wanted
mean to
avoid.
businesses.
With this amount of money, they
I would
may be
never
there
open a
till
business
20.
here.
With this amount of money, they may be there till 2060.
And another board could come in and change everything. You know what I mean? So, that's okay.
Okay. So
Can I
what's,
just add one last thing?
No.
Just as a final note. So when Gina gets it all put together, I do want to go back because there are some provisions in the code and they did change some of the state statutes on the fees and stuff. So I just want to double check all that. So let me just triple check all that. And then I'll get back when you get it done. Okay.
so then the other thing that we missed was number of licenses, but my personal opinion is you don't have to put a number on licenses if the board is approving it.
Agree? Was just an idea.
Okay. Was there anything else I missed? I know there was quite a bit there. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Hold on one second.
Are we clear on gas stations?
We said they agreed that they have gas stations.
Okay.
Or, nope, truck stops.
So it's what's
Not gas
currently
stations,
in
truck
the
stops.
code right now, correct?
What's that?
What's currently in the code right now, correct? As
Yeah.
far as the guidelines for truck
Yeah,
stops?
so it's truck stops, not gas stations.
Correct.
Right? Yes, okay. Anything else? Trustee Fielder, did I miss anything?
No, what you just said, could you repeat one more time about truck stop, gas station?
Yeah, so the code is that gaming is allowed, I believe, I could be wrong, that only gaming is allowed at permitted truck stops. They have to have so much diesel sale and all these rules and acreage and, you know, overhangs and all this stuff. Am I correct? So a regular Joe Schmo gas station just can't say, I want gaming. It has
Okay.
to be a truck stop.
As far as our, as far as
And
the
they can have 10.
gentleman that's working on the Menards project, that's would qualify as far as what we're talking about right now. Because it's looked at as a truck stop, right? Okay. I just want to make sure we're not crushing something in the process.
I'll clarify. That site does meet, so there's a small and a large, correct?
Right.
Truck stop establishment defined in our code. The small gets 6, and the big one gets 10. The Menards site that just came through does meet the acreage requirements and things that are listed for the small, so they would be eligible for the 6. Based on our
Is that a
current code.
truck route?
No, but because it's a truck stop doesn't align with the truck routing. That's just a definement in our code. It does align with it in the states.
Loophole,
correct?
again.
Right.
Well, again, it has to come before the board, so, I mean, even if they pass all the qualifications, the board can still deny them.
Correct.
And that's not on the village manager. You're welcome. It's not on me either. I'm just the commissioner. All right, so, was there something else?
No.
Not from me.
No.
All right, so you two talk, get it all together, and then bring it back to us, and we'll just make sure that we like it.
Correct.
Okay. Not bad. What
Thank
time
you,
is
I
it? Oh, it's
appreciate it.
9:22. All right. No, we've got about 25 things for executive session. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, oppose?
Aye.
Aye, I oppose.
May we take a 5-minute break
Yes.
between the two, please? Thank you.
Thank you, you too.